Good morning, Raptor freaks. Alexiot's here. It is Tuesday, and the Raptors are playing once again today against the Indiana Pacers here in Toronto at Scotiabank Arena in Indiana. Pascal Siakam, Tyrese Halliburton, Rick Carlisle's team. We have won 2 out of the 3 games against Indiana so far this year. So you do the math. We win 3-1. We lose, tied season 2-2. So we want to win this season series straight up 3-1. So we want to beat the Pacers today. I went and looked at some of the comments about beating the Wizards on Sunday, and some people are just not getting it still. You guys really got to pay attention, and watching this channel is the best way to pay attention, Raptors fans, if you want to stay in the know about what's best for the Toronto Raptors. Yeah, winning right now is fine. A lot of people are saying, why are y'all trying to win? It's stupid. Why are you trying to win now? Oh, my gosh, casuals. If you're going to be a Raptors fan, you want to do it right, pay attention is what I'm trying to say, y'all. All right, let's get into it. Yeah, let's go. All right, first of all, we got Toronto. Toronto's injuries are as such. Persona non grata not playing due to gambling allegations. We know who we're saying. That's right. He's on the list still. Chris Boucher ruled out for today's game due to his knee, the injury given to him by Chris Murray of the Portland Trailblazers. Keep it truthful. Don't say Darko's got Chris in jail and he's not letting him play. No, Chris Murray tackled Chris in the last game he played, and he messed up his knee. And that's why Chris ain't been playing. This is another thing that casual Raptors fans may be wrong about and not really paying attention. Why Chris Boucher is not playing right now. Jakob Poeltl participated in parts of Monday's practice, but was limited to using only his right hand, Raptors reporter Aaron Ben Rose, idiot, reported. Yeah, I mean, listen, that's progress. But the fact that he's only using one of his hands really tells me he's not coming back this season. So my educated opinion that Jakob Poeltl will not make another appearance this season. That is more likely. Scotty, though, listen to this. Barnes was spotted getting shots up during Monday's practice with a brace on his surgically repaired left hand. Aaron Ben Rose said himself. Yeah, you jerk. Listen, it's more likely Scotty pops in and plays one game. You know, it could be that he does play one of the games in Miami, guys. I'm serious. I could see Scotty playing one of the 2 games in Miami against the Heat this weekend. So we don't have to watch out for that and see if that is a possibility and a truth that could happen. Grady is questionable for today due to his groin injury against the Wizards. He is questionable today. We'll have to monitor this, and hopefully Grady can play today because it'd be great for him to continue his streak of consecutive games played. So we're hoping and hoping that Grady will be all right. Darko said in practice yesterday, Grady practiced, but he was really sore. So he's feeling really, really sore. So he can't say for sure if he'll play today, but he said that, well, it's a good sign that he practiced. And, you know, sometimes you are going to be a little sore, and maybe his soreness will be better today and he'll be fine and he'll play. I could say that may be what happens, that Grady won't miss a beat or miss a game, and that his soreness will have passed. He'll be able to play today. Now, Quickly, this is interesting. He's already been ruled out for today. So no Immanuel Quickly today, guys. He is out for rest purposes. That is the official reason. You know, it could be a couple of different reasons. He's had some really top-notch games since he returned this little bit of time. And in some ways, he doesn't have a whole lot to prove right now. In some ways, he's going into a summer where he's going to be getting a contract. And in some ways, this I know this isn't a team kind of thing to do, but sometimes you need to have the dichotomy of with me and without me to kind of prove to a team, like, okay, this is how y'all are with me. This is how you are without me. Well, Emmanuel's not playing today, guys, just so you know. It's rest purposes. And you know what? He's worked so hard and played at such a high level in the last few games. I get it. But also, is this part of the whole thing where it's just like, okay, maybe we don't care about winning today? I don't know. DJ Carton also ruled out for today for sure. So, yeah, there's your Raptors injury report. If I'm speculating our starting lineup for tonight without Immanuel Quickly, I'm going to guess that maybe they put Bruce Brown in the starting lineup. I don't think they're going to put Javon Freeman Liberty in the starting lineup. I think that that's a silly move. He's gotten a start recently, but he has played so poorly recently that I just don't think it's a good move. Put Bruce Brown in against his former team tonight And that might be a smarter move with veteran. So, Bruce Brown, Gary Trent Jr., RJ Barrett, Kelly Olynyk, those four guys can play point guard. And in some ways, you don't need a traditional point guard tonight. So I say start Bruce Brown, let him guard Tyrese Halliburton too. So yeah, that's the starting lineup that I'm looking at right now for us. The other side of things, Indiana Pacers injuries for today. Ben Mathurin is slated to undergo season-ending surgery to repair a torn labrum in his right shoulder. He is out. So the young Canadian Benedict Mathurin is not available for the game today. So who's on their team? Otherwise, well, it's pretty much everybody else. He's the only injury for the Indiana Pacers right now. Tyrese Halliburton, Andrew Nembhard, Aaron Nesmith, Pascal Siakam, Miles Turner. That's their starting five. And off the bench, TJ McConnell, Ben Shepherd, Doug McDermott, Obi Toppin, Jalen Smith, Jarace Walker, Isaiah Jackson, Kendall Brown, Isaiah Wong, and Oscar Tshiebwe. Yeah, that's the team. That's the Indiana Pacers. That's not a bad team. Honestly, they're pretty deep. And, man, they could do some good stuff in the playoffs. Honestly, I think the Doug McDermott pickup by the Pacers this year has been absolutely great one. That was the pickup I wanted us to get. Well, the Pacers got him instead. And I really like the emergence of some of the young players on the Pacers this year. Ben Shepherd in particular. Of course, Andrew Nembhard has continued his great developing as a young Canadian in the league. And Jalen Smith is getting better and better also. So, yeah, and Jarace Walker, a very good draft pick for them also. What have they been doing lately in their schedule? Well, let's see. The Pacers have won 4 out of the last 5. 4 out of the last 5. They've beaten the Lakers, the Nets, the Thunder, and the Heat in their 5 last games, and they lost to the Nets one of the games. They had a back-to-back with the Nets. They won one and they lost one. So they're 4 out of 5 in their last 5 games. So they are somewhat playing well and winning lately. All right, let's go to the refs, guys. We have our referee crew for tonight. We start with number 61, the crew chief, Courtney Kirkland, 24th season out of Flint, Michigan. He's from the same hometown as Michael Moore, the great documentary maker that made Roger and Me. Yeah, go check that out. His favorite TV show, Billions. Favorite movie, The Matrix. Favorite book, Total Money Makeover. And his favorite app is NBA. This guy's all about Total Money, NBA, Billions, The Matrix. Are you from The Matrix, Morpheus? I wonder about that with you, Courtney Kirkland. Are you from The Matrix? Either way, he doesn't want to do no talent show. Maybe he'll ride the little cart around on the court when the talent show comes on. He had like an ATV that one time, remember? He was like riding around. I think that was him. It was either him or James Williams. I don't remember. Courtney Kirkland is not the best ref for the Raptors today. No, he's not. We win 43% of our games with Courtney Kirkland this season. We are 1-3 in games with him being a ref, so that's not the best, but the season's been like that. The Pacers win 56% of their games, so the split is 43-56 for the Pacers with crew chief Courtney Kirkland. The second ref is our friend, the UPS driver, our guy Dedrick Taylor. We love Dedrick, number 21 out of Miami, Florida. His favorite TV show is Good Times. Yeah, I like that show with Raj and Dwayne. And yeah, Rerun. That's an awesome show. I mean, wait, that's what's happening. Wait, what? I'm getting confused. Favorite movie, Good Time, Crash. Favorite musician, Michael Jackson. His favorite book, Tears We Cannot Stop. Favorite meal, breakfast. Favorite app, Candy Crush. Most like to visit Africa. Bucket list, skydiving. Hidden talent, playing the trumpet and juggling. That's right, Dedrick. If you could juggle and play the trumpet at the same time, you might win that competition. You might win that all-star referee talent show. If you could do it at the same time, or are you going to do this in 2 acts? Like, are you going to do part of it and you play the trumpet and then you'll say, I can juggle too, and then you juggle after? Either way, I'm going to have votes for you because you're one of my favorite refs in this league in the referee talent show. Well, this is how it goes with Dedrick. We have lost every game with him this season so far. 3 losses. Dedrick Taylor has been around. I don't blame him. I blame the team and the situations it was in when he was reffing. We win 66% of our games. He's like really is one of the top refs in the whole entire league for us, win percentage wise. Meanwhile, the Pacers win 53% of their games. So 66-53 for the Raptors. the split with the second ref. He favors Toronto. The last ref is a ref we haven't seen this year except for once. Danica Mosier, number 89, second season out of Freeport, Florida. Her favorite TV show is Friends. Her favorite movie is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. She listens to Justin Timberlake. Her favorite book is Lying with Strangers. She likes to eat oxtail. I think she's the only one who said any food today. Favorite app is Yelp, and she must like to visit Thailand. Her bucket list is to own a cat cafe. Yeah, we've seen Danica Mosier a little bit in the G League. We've seen her ref some 905 games this season, but she only ref one game with the Raptors. I think 1 or 2 games. Let me look at it. Nope, she only ref one game with the Raptors this season so far, and we won. So we won the only game that Danica Mosier refereed. She is one of the worst refs statistically for us, though, in the history of her 2 years. We win 38% of our games, and that is in the bottom little part of that. Meanwhile, the Pacers win 57, so 38-57 for the Pacers. The third ref, Danica Mosier. Yeah, but we did win the one game that she refereed for us this season. So there's your ref report. I love Dedrick Taylor. Dedrick Taylor is always going to be kind of somebody who's a good luck charm for the Raptors and kind of out there looking out for us. Courtney Kirkland's weird. I kind of trust Courtney, but I also know that Courtney can do manipulative stuff and weird stuff for the NBA. And I don't totally trust him, but he's an up and up kind of ref as far as he seems mostly fair, but he can be very tough. In some ways, he's from the Tony Brothers school of reffing. He's like, don't sass me or mess with me or I'll punish you. And he's a little bit like that. Danica's been in trouble with the NBA in the last 2 years. So in some ways, she's really on her best behavior because in some ways, she may be a fringe ref that may not have a job in the next year or so. So we'll have to see what happens out there. That's what I'm seeing from the ref report. It's not a horrible crew. In some ways, I don't think that they'll absolutely hit job us if we are going to beat the Pacers tonight. But I don't totally trust Courtney Kirkland. Let's just put it that way. So there's your ref report for today. Undefeated. Yeah, 3 years and running. Yeah, let's go. All right, let's see what y'all are saying in the chat this morning. We've got superfan Monique Lawrence first in. Good morning, Raptor Freak family. And happy game day. Let's try and make it 3 straight. Which of course I'm going to my goodbyes to favorites this team, but happy about my journey going forward. Okay, I think I'm realize what you're saying. 3 straight W's. Of course, I'm going to my goodbyes to favorites. Okay. Monique is going to the game today. Today is the last home game for the Toronto Raptors this season. They will play 3 more games on the road after this. Immediately tomorrow, we're going to Brooklyn to play a back-to-back, of course. They're going to have to do another red eye through customs tonight to get to Brooklyn to play Dennis and the Nets. Yeah, it is what it is. But, yeah, Monique's going to go down there and be in the building for the last game. Bring those good vibes, Monique. Represent the Raptor Freak family right. And hopefully we get this dub right now. We'll say hi to Siakam. It's always nice to see him. And, hopefully we can beat him today. I'd like to be 3-1 against the Pacers today. It'd be really awesome if we could collect a couple of season series wins. These are important. Even if we lost and we're out of the playoffs, in some ways, these are kind of little small victories and little ways to achieve winning cultures little by little, even in a losing season that's lost already. Win the season series against the Pacers. You are 2-1. You don't want to tie it, so get it 3-1, Raptors. It's amazing that y'all beat the Pacers by 1 point around the in-season tournament. That was really impressive. And then they beat us with Siakam the first time we played them, but the second time we played them with Siakam, we beat them, and we got dinner with Darko. In fact, if we win tonight, technically, it's a dinner with Darko 3-game winning streak. So everybody said, nah, they won't get dinner with Darko the whole season. Well, we did. We got it before everything fell apart. And now at the end of the season, we have a chance to get dinner with Darko again right now tonight. And in some ways, I want them to do this because the haters said we would never win 3 games in a row all season. So I'd like to do it twice before we're done. So there are reasons for us to win this game tonight and look real good. Once again, Memphis has 27 wins. We have 25. We have to stay below their win total. We win today, that's 26. We're still below Memphis, and we're fine. So as Memphis wins, we can win also on our way out. I'd like to win tonight. If we don't win on the rest of them, that's fine. but I'd like to win tonight. There's some reason I really, really want to win tonight. Let's see. Mo's saying no IQ and Grady questionable. Yeah, I already did the injuries for sure. Yep. Chris is here. Good to see MSJ. So Zach Edey, I did watch, and he looks like a force, but he is lumbering. I think we get him with that second round pick, a better Luke Cornett in my eyes as a backup in 10-minute spurts. He could be okay. Okay, so this is what Chris's scout is on Zach Edey right now. He feels like he's nothing more than a bit better of a Luke Cornett. Man, I don't know. I think you're sullying his reputation. I'll say this. There was a very, very good interview session yesterday after practice with Darko Rajakovic, Garrett Temple, and Kelly Olynyk. And because it was the national championship finals day, they asked both Garrett and Kelly their opinions on how they feel Zach will be in the NBA. And it was very interesting to hear what they had to say. Both of them said they think he's an NBA player and that he can play in the NBA. Kelly said that he's going to have a spot. But they both said that in some ways, a lot of teams in this league will not want Zach because some of them's playing style is wanting to be more fluid and position switching, like our team was with the long arm monsters. That's the whole thing. Now, other teams will value having a big man to match up with other big men. In fact, Garrett thought that he would play in the West because a lot of the big men are in the West right now with Jokic and Wembanyama. And in fact, he said that he thought that he should be on the Thunder. And I was like, why do you want Zach Edey on the Thunder, Garrett Temple? What the hell? He thinks that it'll be good to back up Chet Holmgren with size and solidify their team a little bit better. Yeah, that sucks. You got Chet Holmgren, but he's not no center. The Thunder need Zach Edey. Fuck that. I don't want Zach Edey on Thunder, even if he's with SGA, his Team Canada teammate, and Lou Dort too. No, I'm not about that. Listen, I'm going to say this about the game last night. UConn had a better team. The Purdue Boilermakers had the best player on the court. Klingham was not better than Edey. And honestly, they're going to rank Klingham, all kinds of Klingon or whatever the fuck his name is. Yeah, he's from Star Trek. Whatever they're going to rank him, they're going to overrank him over Zach after that game last night. That's BS. Seriously, I'm looking at the box score, and it says right here that Zach got 37 points on 15 of 25 shooting, 7 of 10 at the free throw line, 10 rebounds, 2 blocks. Klingham, 11 points, 5 of 8, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1 block. He outplayed Klingham. He owned him, and in some ways. And this is the thing. He had no help. He had one guy that scored double digits next to him, Smith, and it was only 12 points. How the hell is that team going to win with only one guy is carrying them and everybody else ain't doing jack shit on the Purdue Boilermakers? I'm telling you, that's why he lost. UConn had a better overall team. And honestly, Zach, you look good even though you lost. It is what it is. UConn, the national champions. In some ways, that was set up. In some ways, people wanted that. They wanted that UConn national title, and a lot of people were already projecting it. So listen, Zach's going to be where Zach is. I don't think he's going to last till the first pick in the second round. Just so you know, Chris, it may be if we're going to draft him, if he's available around that Indiana pick in the mid-teens, that may be the best spot for Toronto to land him at that point. I don't know if they'll take him in the top 10 if we keep our pick, but it may be more likely if we have that pick in the middle from Indiana still around 17 or 19 and Zach is still on the board around then, maybe we get him then. I think that's most likely. I don't think he'll last through the first round. Let's just put it that way. There's too many eyes on him last night, and there's going to be somebody who's going to want that. I think it's an insult that you compared him to Luke Cornett. Let's just put it that way. I think that's an insult. Trevor J saying, good morning, Raptors family. Happy Tuesday and game day. Let's go, Raptors. All right, Trevor's here. The classic card of the day, Cosmic Classic card, commissioned by the Commissioner Fund, Trevor J. First person to write in the card name, full name, will get 100 points added to the Raptor Freak score. And yeah, you can continue going on. Like Smooth Brown Man is up there now. He's in the top 5 on the trivia score now because he's gotten so many of these guys. Oh, this one's hard. I wouldn't get this one myself. This is going to be fun. I bet one of y'all will get it though. I just wouldn't get it because I don't know. I didn't know who this was when I saw it at first. All right, let's see. First one to write it in, full name, is coming up from the bottom. It's time for the classic card of the day. All right, here we go. Oh, is that enough? No, come on, Lex. Oh, there's a hoop. All right. There's the guy. He's on Cleveland, obviously, number 20. Let's see who can get this one. It's kind of funny that this is the guy, considering we just had a big white guy conversation about Klingon and Zach Eady. Who is that? Who is that? Who is that? Do you know who that is? If you know, write it into the chat and get 100 points. All right, I told you, Seymour, full name, no half-assing. Seriously, I want the full name. Seriously, don't half-ass me. I'm not gonna give you points. I'm not gonna give you points if you half-ass it. You don't know his first name, then you don't get the points. You got his last name, but if you don't know his first name, you ain't gonna get it. All right, Timothy, write the whole thing together. You're half-assing, Sheriff. Don't be a lazy city slicker. Write the whole name, Timothy Mozgov. I'm serious. Stargate did it first. He gets the points because he did it right. I told you. I said it before I set it up. Full name. If you don't write the full name, you don't get the points. And if you just write the second part of it afterwards, you got to write the whole name out. I'm sorry. I'm taking this stand. I did this before with other people before. It's the rules of the fucking game, man. It's all good, man. It's all good. It is Timothy Mozgov. It's all good, Seymour. I love you, man. It's just y'all need to know. Look at the way he spells Timothy. Timothy. Yeah. There you go. I'm gonna give it to Stargate. I feel like I should give it to Seymour, but y'all really need to know the rules to the game. And I say full name is so important. Full name. Danilo Gallinari. I don't know. There he is. Let's look at him real close. He looks like he's like there's a weird shadow on his face from the net. I don't know what's going on there. Let's see what it says. LeBron James and Kevin Love were great additions to Cleveland in 2014-15, but the team didn't take off until it acquired Mozgov from the Nuggets. With the big man in the paint, the Cavaliers rattled off a 34-12 record and steamrolled through the Eastern Conference playoffs on their way to the NBA Finals. I didn't recognize him. When I saw the card, I was like, I don't even know who this is. I guess I have a blind spot with Cleveland around LeBronto. Does that make sense? That does totally make sense. Oh, it's all good. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give, since he did half-assed, he's going to get 50 points, and the Stargate's going to get 100. So I will give you some points, Seymour. But remember this, you guys. Remember this, please. Please. It is the one rule. It's the one rule I have. Full name. All right, let's keep going. Thank you, Trevor, for commissioning the Cosmic Car of the Day. That's right, Trevor. You are so fun. Thank you for being the commissioner of it. All right, let's see. MSJ saying we are going to have a really hard time without IQ and without Grady. Going to be really tough to score enough to hang with the Pacers. Well, Debbie Downer us a little bit, Chris, with your take here. Yeah, I don't believe that. I'm gonna counterpoint this as a Raptor freak, a positive Raptors fan. No, we can step up with other guys to control the ball. Kelly Olynyk's basically a point guard. We're not going to have trouble with distributing the ball. In fact, RJ's a good distributor too. I'm going to say this right now. Grady's going to play tonight. We would take money on this. I don't do betting, though. I'm going to say we're going to make a bet, a gentleman's bet of just being right or wrong. I'm going to tell you right now, Grady Dick is going to suit up and play in this game tonight. He's not going to be missing tonight. So they will make up with IQ, like I said earlier, with point guards. It'll be a pointless system, like I've called it out before. They'll have 4 or 5 guys that will distribute, and it'll be fine. Kelly will be the hub. RJ can be very much a distributor. Gary Trent Jr. is classically trained as a point guard. And Bruce Brown, he can do a little bit of it too. And Oshai I'm not dependent on him to do it, but I'm sure he can pass around too. So I'm not worried about this. We did this during the losing streak when IQ was out. We had a very good committee of distributors, pointless system. No point guard, a bunch of guys all being hubs and passing every which way. And that's Darko's system anyway. I will bet you that Grady will play tonight. He's questionable right now, but if he was sore yesterday and he was practicing, he practiced yesterday, even though he was sore, he's probably going to play today, is what I'm going to say. Yeah, Trevor J saying, Darko, Garrett, and Kelly with lots of details yesterday. Yeah, this is fun. Those interviews were amazing. First of all, wow, I don't even know where to start. In some ways, we should do a watch along with those interviews. I don't want to be on the air for so long because it is about a 20-minute clip, a half-hour clip. It is so good. I highly recommend every single Raptors fan to go and watch the interviews from practice yesterday. First, Darko talking about this season and what his goals were. It was about setting culture. The beginning of the season, he was very, very controlling, very, very much wanting to set up the protocols and the systems for how this team would run with the coaches, how they would scout, they would handle interactions with the team, how the team would what they would expect from the coaches and what they would expect. And all the players have said that this coaching staff has prepared them very, very well and been very, very consistent. And also, Darko said that in the beginning, it was about setting the culture up in the summer. In fact, that was a really hard thing. He jumped right into it right away and wanted to really, really get things right. Because in some ways, when you get that all right, you can start lessening your own responsibilities as the head coach when you feel like the culture is taken and people understand what your vision is and what you're trying to do. Then you can delineate different jobs to other people like assistant coaches and players. Well, he's done that, and this is really cool. He like set up his whole world of how he wants to coach the Raptors. He got it all ensconced, and then he's like listening to everybody else. And one of the most important things Darko said in his interview yesterday is that he is taking suggestions. This is his own words. I'm not the end all be all, makes all the decisions. It's just not my way or the highway. It's not like that on the Raptors right now. I'm taking suggestions and advice and things from everybody. The coaches and the players are telling me things and I'm listening to them and I'm taking suggestions. I don't always use them, but I am using them quite often also. Another thing he said about the film session yesterday was he let the players be the coaches. Now, I think this is hilarious. Apparently, he had a film session about the Wizards game where some of the players got up in front of the whole team and did like they were the coaches and kind of showed plays and stuff. In particular, some of the guys were doing impressions of some of the coaches, and it was hilarious, apparently. Kelly Olynyk does a very good Ivo Simonovic, apparently. And like they asked him, Darko, were they making fun of Serbian accents? He said, not mine. They were making fun of Ivo's. So Kelly got up there and did a Ivo Simonovic impression in practice yesterday, going over a play on the telestrator for everybody. But it sounded like a really loose practice session where people were learning. And this is a great thing. I'll bet you money Scott got up there in front of them and did a whole like teaching thing in front of his team about things he's been seeing on the court. That's fantastic. You give Scotty more leadership. I'm sure he was one of the ones who got to break down some of the tape in front of everybody yesterday in practice. So Darko's innovative. Darko's really cool. And Garrett's interview, they asked him, what is different about Darko than any of all the crazy amount of coaches you've had in your long NBA career? And this is what Garrett said. And we knew this because he said this on the Raptors show a couple weeks ago. It's Darko tells us who's playing in the morning. I've never had a coach in the NBA ever do this. Like in the morning when they go to morning shoot around, Darko has the list of the rotation for later on in the game. And that means that these players can orient their day in a way knowing exactly what to expect as far as their playing time. Often guys, you get all ready and you don't even know. But if in some ways, if you're letting people know, then they can get really in a good headspace to know what to expect as far as I'm going to be in the rotation tonight and I'm going to get to play, or I might be starting tonight. Garrett said that on the Washington game on Sunday, he was not told he was going to play, and he did end up playing. So this happens too. It's not like Darko's so rigid and stubborn that if he makes that announcement in the morning, he sticks right to it no matter what. No. He saw a real problem with the first rotation in the Wizards game on Sunday, and he adjusted that rotation to allow Garrett Temple to be in it all of a sudden. Garrett said very specifically, he had not told me I was going to play on Sunday morning, but I have to know that may happen still, and that may have to go in there. And that's happened a couple times to Garrett this season, where he has been told in the morning, you're not going to be playing, but then something happened in the game, maybe an injury, maybe somebody's not playing well and they don't need to be playing the second half, and he gets inserted after all, even though he was told in the morning he wasn't going to play. But that's interesting that's the thing that Garrett says is different about Darko than any other NBA coach that he's ever had as a coach. And he said this, he really likes it. In fact, he thinks that that's one of the coolest things about Darko is that forward warning about what your role is for the night before. Very, very cool. Kelly Olynyk, very, very glowing things to say about how things have gone too. These guys are saying these coaches have done a really good job preparing us all season. That's a really big part of being an NBA team is assistant coaches telling you what you got to expect from the other team and helping you set up to be prepared to play that team. One of the things Kelly said also in his interview yesterday was a lot of teams in our position right now at the end of the season would just pack up and they're just going through the motions. In some ways, he said some of the teams he's been on in the NBA, when they've been in this situation where the season's over and they're just kind of going through the last part of the season, they don't even hold practice. They don't even do anything. They basically just show up to the games and just kind of go through the motions to the rest of the end of the season. Kelly's been around teams like that. And he said that is not what's happening right now with his Raptors team that just lost 15 games in a row. They could easily just pack up shop for the whole rest of the season, like some of the other teams have. I'm sure the Wizards have to a degree. But no, Darko's using every single game of the 82-game season to get better and develop and showing professionalism and showing it right on through to the end. We're going to Miami this weekend for 2 games. We're going to be in Miami Beach all weekend. I'm sure Darko's demanding the professionalism, even if we're about to be on vacation. You better be thinking basketball only Raptors this weekend until the last buzzer against the Heat on Sunday. Then you go ahead. You have fun that night. But yeah, when you get to Miami on Thursday, you're going to do professional things because Darko has not taken the season off yet. He has not Nick Nursed us this season like Nick Nurse did us last year. He has not given up. He's not quitting. He's continuing to work right up until that final buzzer for the Miami Heat game on Sunday. So I love that. Kelly said that's not very often. He's been on many teams where they just wave the white flag and they ain't doing jack shit for the rest of the year. It's just going through the motions. So I like that. I like that about both those things. So yeah, there's a little bit about what was said in those interviews yesterday. Very telling, very interesting stuff. Very, very interesting stuff. And Garrett Temple is just one of the best interviews in the NBA. I know those press guys love him. I mean, he's been a star on the Raptors show. No lie. Seriously, when he's switched for Dennis, he's been amazing on that show, just like Dennis was. I'm not saying Dennis wasn't amazing too, but Garrett, oh my gosh, this guy's so open and honest and just has really interesting takes. And he talks about basketball. It's really, really cool. It's really, really cool. Trevor J saying next Monday is the WNBA draft. Let's see who goes where. Well, we know the top is Indiana Fever, first pick of the draft, Caitlin Clark. That's already set up. In fact, it's so set up. They're already making all kinds of changes to like things like where the Aces are going to play the Fever in Las Vegas at that one game, getting the bigger arena. Yeah, they're getting ready for this. They're gearing up for this, and it is going to happen. That's right. Probably. I mean, would there be some sort of swerve where somebody else gets picked first by Indiana? I don't think so. I don't think so. That has an I and an A at the beginning and the end of it, Indiana, and so does Iowa. So, I mean, the transition from cornfield to cornfield isn't that hard from Iowa to Indiana. In some ways, she can keep her fan base from Iowa if she goes to the Indiana Fever. So it makes total sense. This is kind of a Wembayama fit. Seriously. So it makes a lot of sense. Monique is saying Garrett is a basketball nerd. He is. Our future is extremely bright. Love all the interviews yesterday. Yeah, this is one thing from the Garrett interview that a lot of people are saying is we hope that he's on the team next year. I mean, I get it. I want him to be on the team too. One of the things that Garrett talked about yesterday that was really interesting was getting to play recently. In some ways, it's tough to be a vet on a team if you don't get playing time to be a leader. And this is just true. In some ways, young players may be like, well, you don't even play. What are you going to tell me about things? Well, when Garrett gets out there and he gets after it and he gets on the floor hustling at 37 years old, making shots, fundamentally doing good stuff, well, he garners respect from his teammates. A lot of the teammates on his team already liked him and already thought well of him and respected him. But if in case there was anybody who doubted him, when him going out on the court and playing really at a high level, well, that gains respect and people start listening to him. He was talking about that phenomenon. And he talked about Thad a little bit. Thad on the team before, a lot of people respected him because they'd seen the body of work with what he'd done on the Raptors during the time he was here. But that's true. Some of the old head vets, they don't get respect from the younger guys because they're stashed away on the end of the bench. But when they get in, they produce and they look real good on the court. All of a sudden, these youngsters are listening to them. And that's what Garrett was kind of talking about yesterday. It's very interesting. Very, very interesting. I want to keep him around our team one way or another. whether he's a player on the team or I don't know. I don't think we're going to keep him if he's not a player. If he's not a player, he's going to go and do bigger things than just be an assistant coach for the Raptors. If he wants that path, he can have it here for sure. But I don't think that it's likely because in some ways he's a players association guy. His route is for that, being a rep for the players union, even afterwards, or a lawyer of some sort. And being an assistant coach in the NBA may not have the same pay scale for him and his duties, being a lawyer and whatever he has aspirations for afterwards. I mean, the guy can go in all different directions, honestly. Garrett Temple set up for like 3 or 4 different career paths after his NBA career, whether it is lawyer stuff, whether it is broadcasting stuff, whether it's coaching stuff. That man could do whatever he wants when he's done. Now, is he going to play next year? In some ways, they alluded to it. They asked Garrett, it's like, are you going to play till 40? And he didn't want to jinx it or mess it up. He's like, well, I mean, my body, if I feel good after the end of the season and my body's feeling good and I can play, I want to play. Yeah, I want to play. Yeah, if my body's feeling good. So I could see this. In some ways, I'd like to keep him around. Thad Young was a very valuable vet the last couple of years. Well, he's gone. Garrett's our guy now. And in some ways, Garrett's been fantastic as a Raptor. And in some ways that people just don't see on the court. Really, really fantastic. So, yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah, I love Garrett. And I hope he does stick around the Raptors franchise. But I don't know if that's going to happen if he's not playing. Let's just put it that way. Monique saying Darko is so open in every interview. Kelly vet savvy. Yeah, Kelly very open and honest in his interview also. You know, he's very nice what he said about Zach and the things. Of course, Kelly's worked with Zach for like 4 years on Team Canada, and he's seen his growth. And that's what he was talking about yesterday. He's saying, look, Zach in the last year has worked so hard. He's proved so much. He's gotten better and better. Now, both Garrett and Kelly were kind of acknowledging the questions about whether Zach Edey fits in the NBA as far as his style of play and who he is. And they weren't both kind of like, yeah, for sure. It's going to be a weird fit in some ways. I think he's going to have a place. And I think it'd be smart for a team to get him. I really do. I would love the Raptors to get him. In some ways, he's the kind of player that could be very, very good for coming up after Jakob. In some ways, Jakob's spot is kind of like what Zach's spot would be. And if we want to develop a depth at a good big center for the Raptors in the future, well, have him study under Pirtle. And, you know, who knows? By the time Pirtle's contract's up, maybe Zach is the good fill-in by then on the contract that's on the rookie scale. I don't know. Either way, I'd like to keep Pirtle. I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes. But Zach Edey is somebody I would draft, but I don't know if Masai and Bobby think this way. It could be that they're one of the teams that Garrett described that really values switchability and threes and may shy away from getting Zach Edey. So we'll have to see how it goes. We will have to see how it goes. But yeah, Darko's awesome. Darko's so awesome. I love the way he runs this team. And he's done such a good job. The consistency that he's shown all year has paid off at this point. The fact that he has been consistent with his emotions. One of the things Garrett said that's awesome about him is, oh, yeah, he can be tough. He can be very, very tough. Actually, I think it was Kelly that said this. He can be tough and he'll tell you things that you don't want to hear, but he does it in a way that's not confrontational and still stays light. So there's never any kind of like feelings of or something like that. He's very consistent in how he does critiques. When he critiques a player, he says they did something wrong. It's not like he does it in a way that's humiliating or anything. It's just matter of fact. And it's also in a way that's very like humanitarian. So that's a badass strength of Darko is that, look, he's not a softie. He's not somebody who's just like a yes man to the players. He will tell them what they're doing wrong to their face in the moment that happens. In fact, we see it on the court all the time. Half that explaining when guys are coming off the court, that's Darko fixing shit on their way out of the court and saying, yeah, when you do this, and do this. But he has a way of doing it where he doesn't piss people off. It's just that they expect their coach to have that kind of critical energy in a fair, consistent way. And that is trust. That is a trust thing between the player and the coach. That you're going to, coach can get mad and be critical of what you're doing, but he's going to be fair about it at least. And he's not going to show you up and he's not going to make you look bad. He's going to do it in a respectful way. So that's a very, very good coach. And I love hearing that about our guy and how he does things, Coach Rajakovic. He is the best coach we could have hired last summer. I really, truly believe that right now. And Going forward, we're going to see more of the spoils and the goodness because of that. I'm telling you right now. Yeah. Yeah. Trevor's saying Zach Edey, 37 points, 10 rebounds. That's right, Zach. You're a badass. If you could get more than 12 points from one other guy, that's all y'all got. 12 plus 37. That's like 50 something. And then the rest of them scored like 11 points. Yeah, that's garbage. That is garbage. Nobody was supporting Zach. The Boilermakers just weren't bowling enough, and Purdue lost. It is what it is. It's a huge accomplishment. Michael Grange has described Zach Edey's college career as the greatest college career in Canadian history. And I'm not going to disagree with him. This guy got very far. He's a player of the year 2 years in a row. The stats don't lie. The results don't lie. The winning doesn't lie. And yeah, he may be the most successful Canadian ever in NCAA history. I might get behind that, seriously. Chris is saying Trevor J. He was good, but what do you think of him in the NBA? I really have concerns. They kind of exposed him in drop coverages. Well, that's the thing. You're going to have to do things in systems to make it work. That's what Kelly said. He can be in systems that will make it figured out and make it work. I think that in some ways, the dominance and size of him and blocking is going to be the thing that gets him this league. You know, he is a very good defensive player and he's learning. This is the other thing. And Kelly said this. He's a very smart guy. And he really, really is like always learning. He's always soaking things up. He's not a dummy. In fact, Kelly said his basketball IQ went up crazy good in the last 2 years. The other thing about Zach that's in his favor is he doesn't get tired. That's a really good thing because a lot of the knocks on big men are that they get exhausted at some point and they just stop running up and down the court. They can't keep up. Well, that's not true with Zach. Zach has a motor and an energy that does not get tired. And that is another factor that will do him better than most other big men that come into the NBA, is that he is a motor and he has a very good stamina. And that is something in his favor right there. Trevor's saying lots of teams need a big man like that. I think he's ready. He's going to surprise a lot of people. I think so too. In some ways, I want him to surprise people in our red jersey. Yeah, I want people that were doubting him to come and see what happens after that when in our red jersey when we show up and play their teams. That's what I'm saying. I'm all about that. Monique saying, Will Lou, you were definitely trash after about interviewing Marc Gasol, making fun of him at the parade. Of course, he's going to drink and be silly. He's shaking my head. Yeah, I am not impressed with Will Lou from his interview with Marc Gasol that was posted on the Raptors show yesterday. Marc Gasol, of course, getting his jersey retired this weekend by the Memphis Grizzlies, and a very big to do about it. It was a lot of former Grizzlies there to celebrate him, including former Raptors Rudy Gay and Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry made the time to come to Memphis for Marc Gasol's jersey retirement. So we love to see the Raptor connection being represented in Memphis for that. Of course, Kyle was a Grizzly also, and that's part of the reason why he was there. But yeah, that's awesome. Now, Will Lou, you're out of line, bro. I mean, I know I could be a hypocrite in this situation because I've talked about certain people's drinking habits at times. But this is not the kind of case where you need to do this, Will Lou. He was interviewing Marc Gasol. It was a nice interview for the most part. But then he brought up the parade and he started talking about how much Marc drank. And it was very uncomfortable. It was very cringe. In some ways, Will Lou was trying to make jokes about alcoholism. And I'm not cool with that as an alcoholic, Will Lou. You need to fuck right off with your bullshit. You know, you made a joke at the end of the interview with Marc about getting him drunk to be able to do something like, oh, we'll have you come back to the Raptors arena this season coming up. And I'm sure Marc will show up, hopefully, and celebrate 30th anniversary of the Raptors. And we'll give you a big, huge bottle of wine so we can get you prepared for being back in front of everybody. What the fuck is that, Will Lou? Seriously, what the fuck is that? You're trying to ask some questions. It's embarrassing. You're saying, oh, what about you on the end of the bus? You almost fell off the end of the bus. And Marc's like, no, I never did almost fall off the bus. It was just really nice to see all the fans and like connect with them. And like, if you could see it from our perspective on the bus, it would be amazing what you would see. Seriously, it was amazing up there. And he's just like not focusing on the alcohol. And Will Lou wouldn't leave it alone. He's saying, well, how you didn't know this parade was going to be 4 hours and you were probably up there drinking the whole time. And then he's like, he even brought up, why didn't they let you talk at the celebration? And this is what Marc said. Marc said Danny Green told them not to let me talk on the mic. And I was kind of mad at him for that. Yeah, whatever. So he's overly inebriated. Who cares, Will Lou? Let that man have his celebration. In fact, he said that, him winning with Team Spain and with Team Canada. I mean, not Team Canada, with Team Canada Toronto. He had a lot of celebrating that year, and he was exhausted and tired, and he finally got the chance to just cut loose at our championship parade, and that's what he did. Yeah, not cool, Will Lou. Alcohol and alcoholism and getting drunk kind of jokes are not cool. And you may think it's cool on your side of things, maybe because you're not in AA like I am. But check yourself, Will Lou. And it's cringe when you come at people like Marc Gasol with dumbass little jokes, making fun of them being drunk at the parade. And then what the fuck was that, Will Lou? Asking him, yeah, when you come back and visit the Raptors at Scotiabank Arena, we'll have a big bottle of wine ready for you. What the fuck is that, Will Lou? Shame on you. From a person in AA making light of alcoholism and alcohol jokes. Fuck you, Will Lou. How about that? There's a big 2-finger salute from me and Dana to you, is what we're doing. I think she said she wanted to do that yesterday in the chat when she heard about it. She said, Lex, I want my 2-finger salute to go to Will Lou. So I'm just doing it in her absence right now. Yeah. That was messed up. Wasn't it, Monique? You saw it. You were cringing too. I'll bet you were. Monique's watching the Raptors show interview with Marc Gasol, and she's cringing at Will Lou's little snarky alcohol comments. Fuck you, Will Lou. Once again, from somebody who's in AA for over 10 years, and alcohol destroys lives, Will Lou, you dumbass little shit. That's what I'm going to say right there. Yeah. Chris is saying, I still think we get him. Back up Yak. And as a Team Canada player, he might fit. You know for sure that he's a force. If he develops a shot from outside, perhaps starting material, 10-5 bench guy. I don't know. I don't know how to gauge this exactly. We're going to have to go in baby steps and see how he develops if we do draft him. Once again, we got to trust in Masai. And if Masai sees promise and getting Zach Edey and putting him in a Raptors jersey, well, hopefully he'll do it. I fully love it. I love the idea. There's so many different little extras to it that make it so awesome. And I feel like Zach would really play with a fire and a passion like RJ does for his hometown favorite team, the Toronto Raptors, that he grew up watching when he was a kid. Seriously, think about this. This factor is real, Masai Ujiri. This is why you need to think about this. You are seeing really great outcomes with RJ Barrett already playing for his hometown team. Kelly Olynyk is playing just a little bit different than he played for the Utah Jazz, playing for the Toronto Raptors. I can see it. And I'm telling you, you can get that hometown bonus when you have hometown players for your hometown team. There's a ranking that came out yesterday that's absolutely amazing. The highest scoring average per city birthplace in the NBA. And number one, I believe, I forget who it was. It was out Los Angeles. Los Angeles, of course, that's like DeMar, James Harden, Norman Powell, Russell Westbrook. It's the Clippers' little quartet over there. Yeah, Los Angeles has the highest scoring average in the NBA for birthplace of NBA players. But you know who's second on that list now? And yeah, it's not New York City. It's us, baby. Toronto is second on that list. In fact, historically, we weren't even ranked until this year. And not only are we ranked, we're ranked second out of all the cities in North America for having the highest scoring average of birthplace players from our city. Now, some people are trying to argue, you guys it shouldn't be able to count some of your guys because it's not proper Toronto. Bullshit. Seriously. LA? What do you think LA is, motherfuckers? It's a bunch of boroughs. It's Beverly Hills. It's Long Beach. It's Venice Beach. It's all these different little cities. Well, Brampton and Mississauga are Toronto, baby. It's just part of our boroughs. So everybody trying to say, yeah, you shouldn't get so many of your players figuring in for Toronto's birthplace starting points average. No, SGA is Toronto. Yeah. RJ is Toronto. Yeah. And bullshit. There's a greater Toronto area just like there's a greater Los Angeles area. So, yeah, what if this bullshit? Americans are going to try and sully shit either way. And in the comments, they're trying to say Toronto shouldn't be so high because these guys aren't actually from Toronto. Bullshit. You go ask RJ Barrett if he's from Toronto. You go ask SGA if he's from Toronto. He will tell you straight up where he's from. And he'll say, yeah, I'm from Hamilton. But he says he'll also say he's from Toronto. I don't know. I was very proud of that our city is the second highest scoring average out of birthplaces for NBA players this year. And that a lot of that's SGA, honestly. A lot of that is SGA right there. But yeah, I'm proud of this country, proud of this city for having some of the best basketball players in the NBA at this point. It's awesome. Yeah, Tom Duke saying good morning. All of you are so awesome, especially you, Lex. Woohoo! Let's go, Raptors. There you go. Tom Dookie coming in with the enthusiasm, coming in like a ball of fun. All right, Tommy, I'm going to give you a dunk. Actually, I'm going to give you a three-pointer. just for long-term helping me on this channel and doing all the things you do, Tommy. You're just an awesome person, and you're a great example of a great Raptor freak. And you got the Malik Williams 35, my guy. You got a Malik Williams 35 right now. Maybe I should give you a Christian Coloco 35. Yeah, either way, it's up to you. Chris is saying if the Raptors have a garbage game, just remember it's called a garbage can, not a garbage can't. Oh, is that a joke on Canada? Man, Chris, what are you doing? I know you're moving to Korea, but come on, man. Don't dump on Canada with a garbage can comment. That's not nice. That's not nice. Garbage can. I don't know. We'll see how things go tonight. I'd like to win. I'd like to get 3 in a row. Dinner with Darko. Some idiot on Twitter is trying to say we can't afford another 3-game win streak. They can't afford paying for another pizza party. Just get over yourself, you dumbass little Molly dumb girl on Facebook or Twitter. Dumbass little. I don't know why I'm reading people's dumbass comments again. I was doing such a good job this whole season not reading stuff. I think it's because we started winning again. I'm like, I'm going to go read the comments. It's still a dumpster fire of stupidity. I shouldn't have gone back and read the comments. Dumbass people on Twitter, like some girl named Molly saying dumb shit. Yeah. There's a lot of that on there. I'm telling you right now. Yeah. All right, let's keep going. Tom Duke saying, last night I watched the last few minutes of the game. One more W, please. Should be entertaining. You mean the last game versus Indiana? Oh, okay. Yeah, you're talking about when we played the Pacers the last time when we beat them. That was the Dinner with Darko game. That was the game that we won the Dinner with Darko the first time. And in some ways, we'd like to repeat this. We were on a 2-game winning streak when we played the Pacers the last time. Well, let's repeat. Let's do it again. Get that 3rd win tonight against the Pacers and get another Dinner with Darko. It's a great way to end the season. Of course, they can't get that dinner tonight after the game. They got to go immediately to Pearson and fly to Brooklyn to play the Nets tomorrow night. So, and we were healthy for that game. That's right. We can beat the Pacers when we're healthy. We're going to try and play them tonight without Scott and Jakob. And I want to see if we can do it and quickly. Yeah, I want to see if we can do it. Chris is saying if JFL starts, it's going to be an offense run through Kelly. That's going to make it really hard to keep up with the Pacers. Maybe RJ goes off for a win. JFL would have to hit at least 20 points. You know what? I won't disagree with this. If they do start JFL, I think you're right that the hub is Kelly and it's running through him. Although RJ's shown a point guard kind of thing inside to him where he'll bring the ball up the court and actually play real point guard. Gary can do it too. It's not totally that he has a lot of practice doing it these days, though. Yeah, I think that if JFL is going to start and he's going to get starter minutes tonight against the Pacers, he needs 20. Yeah, I'm not going to be happy with you unless you get 20 points, JFL. Seriously. And I know the water's got to go to other people before you. Well, you figure out how to get 20. Malachi Flynn figured out how to get 50 the other day. So you can figure out how to just get 20, okay? Seriously, because you come advertised as a hooper, a scorer, and in some ways the Pacers are a high-octane offensive team, not the best defense. Well, get in there and get some points because we may need to keep up with Tyrese Halliburton and Pascal Siakam, JFL. So, yeah, I'm with you on this, Chris. Get 20, JFL. If they give you the benefit of starting tonight and instead of Emmanuel Quickly, get 20 points, bro. Seriously. Fill in for Emmanuel. That's what he would have done. That's right. Dana is here. Good to see Canadian Dana. Good morning, everyone. Okay, let's not be greedy, but just this one last win, please. Let's go. I mean, we could win. Honestly, we could win 2 more right now, and it wouldn't be a big deal because Memphis beat us in the season series when we played them. They beat us both games, I believe, when we played Memphis, or we 1-1. I don't know. If the tiebreaker is with Memphis, we could actually finish with the same amount of wins as them at 27. But either way, we can safely win right now. But it may be if we win and it's 26 wins for us and 27 for the Grizzlies and they don't win anymore, we may be having to stall winning out for the rest of the season. I don't know. Maybe tonight's a calculated loss and it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Season series 2-2 with Indiana. That's better than getting swept. But who knows? Maybe we're trying to win tomorrow against Brooklyn. Who knows? Maybe Emmanuel's not playing today because he's going to play tomorrow. In fact, that's what it says, rest purposes. That tells me he's going to be coming to play against Dennis and the Brooklyn Nets tomorrow night in Brooklyn. That Emmanuel, maybe they asked him, it's like, you're not going to play both games. Which one are you going to sit? And it could be that RJ's sitting tomorrow. Yeah, I could see that. It's a back-to-back situation. So we're going to see some guys sit on both nights. And, well, Emmanuel's going to sit tonight so he can play tomorrow against the Nets. That's why I just figured that out right now. That totally makes sense. Is the rest purposes is so he can play Brooklyn tomorrow. Yeah, I see that. I see that. Dana saying, "Oh yeah, Will Lou, you got it." Again, you clown. The two finger salute, sir. There you go. Dana did come in and give the two finger salute for William Lou and his out of pocket comments about Marc Gasol and wine. Yeah, yeah. Will Lou, don't do shit like that. Seriously, bro, that's not cool. People in the community have alcohol problems, like me, and we get really insulted by shit like that. We really do. Trevor's saying, if you're a big fan of Billy Joel, he will be live on Sunday from MSG on CBS. Who is this? James Dolan in here talking to us right now, Trevor J. What is this? I'm fully expecting Billy Joel to do a residency at the Sphere. Yeah, U2 doing the first one. And wow, what an overwhelmingly crazy success. Crazy residency by U2, the first ever at James Dolan Sphere. Blah. That's the only thing I don't like about it is it's amazing structure, amazing venue. But James Dolan owns it. And MSG is owned by James Dolan, Trevor, and Billy Joel by proxy. That's right. James Dolan comes up to Billy Joel and says, I own you now. Billy Joel's like, what do you mean? You don't own me. Whoa, I own myself for the longest time. Whoa. I don't know, man. Billy Joel's never been my bag. He was my bag when I was very young, and it was MTV, and it's like, tell her about it. I love those videos. But you get into 70s Billy Joel and Piano Man shit, I'm like, what the fuck is this? But yeah, I like 80s Billy Joel and some of the songs he did. We Didn't Start the Fire, stuff like that. But yeah, I'm not a big fan. I'm fully predicting he's going to be doing that Sphere at some point soon. Yeah, he's just too big. In some ways, he's like the resident artist for Madison Square Garden in New York. And that's why they're doing this. They're celebrating his history of playing that arena. He's just like, he's got his jersey in the rafters, just like Walt Frazier. That's true. Seriously, there's a Billy Joel jersey retired in MSG, just so y'all know. Kareem saying, I just want to see a couple of our guys on the team put up some career numbers tonight. There you go. I like that, Kareem. I like that prediction. Yeah. I wonder who would do it. I don't know. We'll have to see. This is going to be a fun game. In some ways, I do not want a shootout. I really, really don't. I don't know if we have the offensive firepower to really get crazy with them. In some ways, we want to play a defensive game and slow down the tempo. That may be more in our favor than getting crazy and trying to get a 140-point game kind of thing going on. Like the one we beat them in the beginning of the year, when we beat them by 1 point, Siakam was on our side, and he was a huge factor in how we beat the Pacers in the first game of the season against them. Siakam on our side at that point, and us only winning by 1 point over the Pacers in a very dramatic game. That was one of the best games of the season for the Raptors. And, well, we don't really want a game like that. That's not a very high likelihood that we're going to win. We're going to need to grind it out. We're going to need to show the promise of the first quarter against the Wizards with the defensive rotations and connections and communicating that we showed there. That defense looked really good. In fact, Darko brought it up in his practice interview yesterday that he was really impressed with the Raptors defense in the first quarter and at the end of the game on Sunday. Well, they're going to watch that tape and they're going to try and mimic it as much as they can. Well, hopefully they can have some good success holding off the Pacers with that kind of defensive work and connection tonight. That's what we're hoping for. Yeah. Bryce is here. Good morning, Lex and the Raptor Freaks. Good morning to you, Bryce Lawson. Holding it down in Kentucky. Very interesting news about Calipari stepping down as the head coach to take the job with Arkansas. Wow. I bet you in some ways your state's a little bit reeling from that. I know that some of the former Kentucky Wildcats, like Emmanuel, have noted this, and they're taking notes of it. In fact, let's do the Instagram stories of the day. First of all, we got Mr. New York City. He's saying if it's already meant for you, start accepting and believing. There you go. You go on then, Marquise. You're going to go get it. Miles Burns is in Los Angeles, and he's hanging around on the street corner with some guy on a scooter. I don't know what's going on there. Let's see. Who else do we got? We got Grady. Grady's got his stat line from the other day. Emmanuel has got the part with Calipari. Like I just said, he's celebrating him. There's a picture of him with Julius Randle. Julius Randle celebrating Coach Calipari also. La Familia forever. I'm sure a lot of Kentucky alumni are feeling the new announcement about John Calipari. In some ways, it's like, it's tough. Kyle Lowry is celebrating Don Staley on his Instagram stories, a mural of hers in Philadelphia. He took a picture of it and put it up there. We see Marc Gasol at his retirement ceremony at the Grindhouse, where the Memphis Grizzlies play. Marc was awesome in that interview. He taught Will Lou how to say Memphian. That if you're from Memphis, you're called the Memphian. I never knew that. And Marc was talking about how Memphis really took his family in and really cared for him. His parents moved to Memphis with him, and when he got there, and that they were so welcomed in the community and taken care of. And it was cool. It's also really cool to hear Marc talk about him coming to Toronto and how that worked out. He was very close to being traded to the Charlotte Hornets, y'all, instead of us. But you know what? And this is just the genius of Masai. Honestly, he's not getting enough credit for what he's done. Seriously, people want to look at his lumps and things that maybe he didn't do right. But man, that trade to get Marc Gasol was so genius. That whole work that he did that year was so amazing. The Kawhi trade and then the Marc Gasol trade. Because honestly, it was an 11th hour thing, apparently, according to Marc Gasol in the interview. He's saying that he thought it was done and that he wasn't going to be traded at all. That he was just going to stay in Memphis. That it really was at the last second Masai pulled the trigger and made this happen. And I'm telling you, that was the thing that put us over the top to win the championship. Because you got to think about what Marc did against Joel Embiid, against certain players in the playoffs for us to win that championship. So, Masai, you're a badass. In some ways, there was a little bit of waffling about whether the Marc Gasol trade was going to go through. Well, Masai and Bobby made it go through. And that's a testament to the genius of our front office, because getting Marc Gasol was absolutely the piece that put us over the top to win the championship. All right, let's see. There's the 33 going up in the rafters. See, this is the thing. Another thing about Marc Gasol's number getting retired in Memphis, it makes sense because honestly, this guy's at the top of almost all the franchise lists. Most rebounds, most this, most that. And he's near all the leaders because honestly, this guy played there from 2008 till 2019. That's 11 years. That's longevity. That is a huge part of their culture and their community. So it totally makes sense that they would retire his number. He's in totally good standing with them. He left really basically to go get a chip, and that worked out perfect. The Grizzlies fans were not upset that Marc Gasol won a championship with us that year. They were not upset. Trust me. They were really happy and proud that their favorite big man for so long finally got a ring. So in some ways, it just worked out really well with Marc. And there's no bad feelings. And he was such an important Grizzly guy. And that's the thing we got to gauge it by. Is Vince Carter in the leaders on all kinds of boards for stat categories? In some, yes. But overall, he is not. There are people like Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan, Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam that are higher up on those Raptors career franchise leaderboards. And Marc Gasol is near the top of all the Grizzly ones. So that's why you retire a jersey, is because you have that kind of stuff at the top of the stats for that whole entire franchise. If you just come in for a hot cup of coffee like Kawhi Leonard, you ain't on those lists. You got to be on those lists. And Vince, he's 6.5 years here. Yeah, he some ways did not get up those lists as high as he could have. And that hurts in my eyes, retiring his jersey. Seriously. Let's keep going. Marc touched by getting it. And there's the picture of him with the former Grizzlies that are there to celebrate his achievement. It looks like there's Kyle Lowry. He must have just came down from were they playing the Sixers? So he just happened to be there anyway. That may be why, because he is wearing his Sixers outfit. Mike Conley there, of course. He came down from the Timberwolves. We see Rudy Gay in the back. There's a couple other guys, Mike Miller and Zach Randolph. I don't know who that other guy is. I forget who that is. The other one is in the picture in the back. Maybe that's a Cosmic Car of the Day. If you can tell me the mystery person that's in between Marc Gasol and Mike Miller and the picture of old Memphis Grizzlies, then you can fill in the blanks for me. But I don't recognize him. But great stuff. It looks like they did a little panel discussion where the guys talked about playing together. Conley, Zach Randolph, and who is that? That must be the other guy again. I don't know who that is. All right, there's your Instagram stories. Good stuff. Marc Gasol retirement ceremony. Yeah, Marc on the Raptor show. Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah. Yeah, Kareem saying, Bryce Lawson, sorry for your loss. I'm grieving too. Yeah, you guys are feeling it about Calipari. Really feeling it. It's crazy. Let's see. Bryce is saying, sorry, I don't understand what you mean. Obviously, he's not feeling it like you are, Kareem. Nah, I'm sure he's referencing John Calipari leaving Kentucky. And that's what he's trying to say. All right, I'm going to give a dunk to both you guys for Bryce not really like getting it, and that's cool. It's not affecting him as much as Kareem thinks. So he's got a DeMar DeRozan 10, and we'll give Kareem, the dunk champion, for being funny, a 110. All right, there's no radio stations that are 110. So sorry, the radio stations are over at 109 because I don't believe there's ever been a FM 110. No, that doesn't sound right. The next person that gets to the hundreds will get the radio station calls when they get up there with the dunks. So Kareem got the radio station calls and they're completed. And now he's at 110. All right, let's keep going. Chris is saying IQ out means to me that the Raps are taking an L here. That he doesn't need rest. Laugh out loud. I think they start JFL. The organization needs to see what he can do. Brown is gone anyway. All right, I think I figured it out that they're saving him for Brooklyn tomorrow. It could very well be that IQ, in some ways playing for the Knicks, playing for the Nets, he's playing back in New York City. In some ways, he may have people there that want to see him. It could also be a very personal thing between him and Dennis, because we know Dennis and IQ did bond in the very brief time that they were teammates on the team. And, he's looking forward to that. Is maybe very calculated by the Raptors as far as like we want to divvy up guys between the Nets and the Pacers game on this back-to-back, the final back-to-back of the season. And Emmanuel's getting the duty for the Nets game. It may be that they want to match him up against Schroeder and that they don't need him for tonight. That's really the way I look at it, is that they're planning ahead and they're putting Emmanuel out there for tomorrow. And I'll bet you money one of the guys who's playing tonight will sit tomorrow, if not 2 or 3 of them. There may be a couple of guys that sit tomorrow. So there's going to be just a little flip on who's going to be out there and available. I think you might be right that we are going to take an L tonight. That may be right. We'll have to see. We're going to compete and we're going to try to win. We're not going to be trying to lose. And if we win tonight, that'd be awesome. But it may be more likely that the Pacers have more talent, they're playing better, and they beat us tonight. So we'll just have to see how it goes. JFL starts. It's a high possibility. It could happen. Yeah, and Brown is gone anyway. That's not for sure yet. But I hope you're right. Bryce is saying, if you mean about losing Coach Cal, I'm somewhat relieved. See, okay, this is interesting because he's in the middle of it. He understands more about Kentucky Wildcats basketball than any of us because he's right in the middle of it. It's like they do Wildcat Freak in that state, and they really cover it, like over cover it. And in some ways, he's going to know every little thing on the pulse of the Kentucky Wildcats or program. And well, he's relieved. That sounds like he's like, okay, we're glad the Calipari circus is out of here and ready for a new era. Okay, so that's interesting. Very interesting take by Bryce from the inside of Kentucky. That's right. Fiercely saying, good morning, fam, and happy Tuesday. Another rendezvous with our beloved Pascal. Yes, looking forward to the matchup, but still rooting for the fam. Let's maintain the good vibes, win or lose. Yeah, I'm with this. I mean, listen, we love Siakam. We're always going to love Siakam. 43 in the rafters all day long. Green light that. I green light that. I don't green light the Vince one, but I green light the Pascal one. And yeah, we're going to always love Siakam. Siakam is honestly, he is one of my favorite rappers of all time. I think that his personality and who he is just amazing. Once again, Fred VanVleet may be the most amazing undrafted player in the history of the NBA. Siakam's story of what he did and how he became who he is absolutely amazing also. And in some ways, these guys are huge success stories in themselves, for themselves, but also for Masai Ujiri. And that's part of the reason why I love these guys so much. As Masai said, Pascal's success is my success. And he's exactly right in some ways, and very, very exactly right. So we're going to have fun seeing our old friend tonight. Lots of smiles. Siakam smiling a lot more since he got traded to the Pacers. And now we got out of the mud and things are looking better for us, that I got to finally do this again. So listen, everything's working out for everybody. You guys are in the playoffs. Siakam's smiling, and we are getting our culture right finally. So there you go. We got to wear shades because next year's going to be good. That's right. Kareem saying at Bryce, yeah, Coach Cal, I was just wondering if the one and done motto will no longer exist. I don't even know what that is. Fiercely saying, great interviews indeed yesterday. I like how Garrett congratulated Savannah on a question. She's come a long way. Very good for her. It was a very good question. It was the question about the pros thing, about playing and respect. That was the question by Savannah that he said, and he does this. He does this in interviews. I've seen him do it at the 905 broadcast when he sat in on the booth and watched the 905 game and did color for a bit. And then when you see him on the Raptor show, he's done this too. He said, well, that's a great question. Some people do this. Darko does it too. When somebody gives him a good question, he'll tell them that, oh, that's a fantastic question. That's just being a really awesome person. In some ways, that's the way I do this too. Right? I do it too. It's like James comes in and gives a badass question. I'm like, that's a really good question, James. It's just acknowledging intelligence and intelligent questions and is an awesome thing because it's acknowledging intelligence and getting good stuff out there. In some ways, we don't want to acknowledge stupidity, but if they're good questions, they're fantastic questions. Yeah, definitely encourage them. And I think that's what it is. It's like, wow, great. It's in some ways Garrett's thanking Savannah for giving him the opportunity to illustrate something that maybe he forgets to talk about or doesn't get a chance to talk about. The phenomena of being a vet on an NBA team, not playing, and whether you get respect from young players or not. And then when you do get out on the court and they see what you can still do, all of a sudden they start listening to you in practice. Stargate saying good times was with Jimmy Walker. That's right. See, what's happening was with Raj and Dwayne and Rerun. No, Rerun was on Rerun was on What's Happening. Good Times was the one with Jimmy Walker, Dynamite, and John Amos was the father. That's right. And see, I get them mixed up. I've been watching a lot of What's Happening lately. That's why I watched What's Happening, and D is so funny. Oh my gosh, that character is so good. So good. D, the daughter, the young daughter. Oh my gosh, she had all the best lines on that show. She would cut people up like so quick, D, on What's Happening. Oh my gosh, she cut people up so bad. But yeah, I get those two shows confused sometimes. And Jimmy Walker, Dynamite is the Good Times one, the one that the ref likes. And the one I'm watching right now is What's Happening with Raj and Dwayne and D. D's so good. You guys know what I'm talking about with D. She's something else. Oh my gosh, D is one of my favorite TV characters of all time. She will set people straight quick. She has no filter. She would just say things to people and like, oh my gosh, she just really say that to them. It's like, yeah, she did. Out of pocket, but awesome. So good. So good. Yeah. Fun fact about Jimmy Walker, he is a huge hockey fan and hockey historian. That's interesting. I didn't know that about Jimmy Walker. I know that he dated Ann Coulter for a while. What a weird couple. Jimmy Walker dating Ann Coulter, right-wing propagandist. Yeah, that was a weird one. That was a really weird. They apparently got set up on a blind date and they hit it off. So they started dating each other. Really weird. Really, really weird. Fiercely saying, I don't want to be pessimistic, but I have a feeling another team will draft Edey before it gets to our turn. He got so much exposure the last few weeks, and Shaq putting him on blast didn't help. I think this is listen, the chances of us getting Zach are not probably that high. In some ways, there's so many different things that got to line up to make it work. And it may really we don't know what our draft plan is exactly concretely going into it because there's really a lot of things that could happen to change it that are out of our control. So it really is. We're going to be working quick on the tips of our toes, quickly, nimbly around the draft with decisions depending on the draft lottery. And then after that, so we'll have to see. And that's what a draft is. You're going to sit there and watch people pick before you, and you have to adjust according to what's still out there. And, Zach comes off the board. Well, Zach comes off the board. We can't control this fiercely. It's just going to be is this going to be like an occurrence like the eclipse yesterday where we get everything to line up just right? And then this can happen? We'll have to see. In some ways, look, our odds of keeping our protected pick are 45%. Well, then even after that, what are the odds of where we're picking, whether Zach's going to be available? Yeah, the odds could be very low that we're going to get Zach Edey. It may not even be a factor because Masai's already decided we're not going to get Zach Edey no matter what. We don't know. We'll just have to see how they do it and trust in Masai, as we always do. Shere Khan saying, good morning, Raptor Freak family. Anyone here talks about the possibility of Scotty and Yak coming back before the end of the season? That would be a fun end to a tumultuous season. I'm projecting Grady to become a Gordon Hayward type. All right, Shere Khan, good morning to you. Always good to see the rookie of the year. Yeah, we talked about this yesterday a little bit. That in fact, I did in the injury report just a little bit just now, that Scotty was a full participant in practice to a degree. He's using both hands, but his hand had some guard on it while he was doing practice. But he looks closer. Now, Jakob, he's only using his right hand, so it doesn't look like he's likely. In fact, in the injury report, I said this. It looks like Jakob will not be coming back this season, but there's a possibility that Scotty could show up and play one of the games against Miami this weekend. So I'm going to predict that, Shirkan. If we hear positive news about Scott's health getting better all of a sudden, he may return just for one game this weekend. And it may be partly because he wants to get that 26 points to average 20 points a game. And I could see that happening, Shirkan. So they haven't ruled out either one of them for being out for the entire rest of the season. That's interesting because a lot of players in the last month have been ruled out and closed down for the season, but they didn't do that with our two guys. That means the door is open still to happen. But as Darko said in the interview on Sunday before the game, he doesn't expect them to come back or he doesn't expect them not to come back. He's not telling us either way. He said the door is open. It could happen. If you want me to tell you the odds on who's going to return more likely, it's Scotty. Jakob's less likely to play by the end of the year. Scotty is kind of likely in some ways. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes down. You're saying that you think that Grady will be like a Gordon Hayward. I think he'll be better. In some ways, Gordon Hayward's just been injury struck, and he didn't really reach his full potential in certain ways. In some ways, I get it. Early Gordon Hayward was something else. I don't know. In some ways, Grady's taller than Gordon Hayward, and maybe that isn't the right comparison. We'll have to see. Everybody wants to compare Grady to people. And this may be one of those cases, just like with Scotty, is like, don't compare him with anybody. He is individually himself, uniquely in the NBA history. Because, like, in some ways, we can compare Scott to all kinds of people, but he is really basically himself. He has packages of things from different other players, but Scotty is uniquely himself. And I would start saying this about Grady. It's just that he's showing me so many different things. I can't pigeonhole him into just one thing. You know, in some ways, I was saying he's going to be another Jason Capono. Okay, he's just going to be a 3-point shooter and that's it. No, that's not true, Lex. Okay, well then he's going to be this player. And I'm like, no, he's showing something else that doesn't totally fit in that player type either. So in some ways, I discourage people from doing Grady and Scotty player comparisons unless they're about skills or things specifically that they're doing on the court, because the total package of the player builds of Dick and Barnes are unique to the history of the NBA, to be honest. Tom Duke saying, oxtail breakfast is the sixth served by the one and only Cowboy. Yeehaw! All right. Tom has got the oxtail out for, isn't it Diedrich? No, it's for Danica. Danica's the only one who wanted food. And Diedrich wanted breakfast. So maybe we just have oxtail breakfast. That's what Tom's saying. Yeah. And the Cowboy in the skillet's got the skillet out there. There you go, Tommy. Thanks for the food this morning. We're going to give you another dunk for Man in the Kitchen, like old times. Chef Tom in the kitchen, the emoticon kitchen. I keep seeing Tom Porter family Tom on there, and he only has one dunk. And I'm like, how does Tom only have one dunk? No, wait, that's Tom. Tom Duke is here, and Tom is getting the dunk. He's got 36 now, 36 dunks for Tom. Bryce is saying at Kareem, yeah, I hope it's gone. Maybe we can bring in a coach that makes players want to stay and shock the culture a bit. Yeah, in some ways, the Kentucky Wildcats in the last few years are really just NBA machines. They just make NBA players, and these guys come through, and it's not about the program winning. It's about guys getting a portal from college basketball to the NBA. They know if they go to Kentucky with Calipari, he's going to make them look good. Their draft stock will go up. They're going to come in for maybe a year, 2 at the most, and it's really hard to get any traction as a program and winning as a program when your players are coming through just to kind of skate through to get to the NBA. As it's like a door. So I think that's what Bryce is talking about, is that the Calipari days in Kentucky were not building a program. It's really just a portal for people to get to the NBA. There's a lot of guys, a lot of successful guys that went through that portal and got there. And in some ways, this is what Bryce is alluding to, that he wants the Kentucky Wildcats to start winning again and maybe have some consistency. The NIL and everything is changing everything. That guy that y'all had me scout the other day, DJ Burns Jr., he has made all this money in the last 2 weeks because of NIL. In some ways, it's going to make guys stay in college longer. And it's smart because in some ways they need to stay in college longer to be able to get more schooling in college fundamentally better before they actually come to the NBA. More 4-year players because they're getting actually paid. This rule is actually really good because the universities make so much money off the college athletes that it's only fair if these guys are the stars and they're the ones who get all the attention that they get compensated. And while them doing commercials and getting endorsements, that DJ Burns guy, He got like $300,000 in endorsements in the last month just from getting exposed like that. So I like it. In some ways, he may not be in the NBA, but he's making money now. And in some ways, college players can make money for 4 years. Okay. They may stay in and get schooled better before they come to the NBA. In fact, they may make more money being in college than actually coming to the NBA and getting like a minimum rookie minimum or those kind of things. So I like this new system of paying the college players through endorsements, because if they're any good, they'll get endorsements. If they're not, they won't. And in some ways, it's a good system right now. I like it. I like it. These guys will stay in the college game for longer, and it'll help teams like Kentucky develop and be better, just like what Bryce is talking about, because these guys will stick around because they're making money. That's right. There you go. Fiercey saying, have fun at the game, Monique. Thank you. Yes, Fiercey. That's right. Monique gonna go down there and bring the vibes and say her goodbyes for the season. In some ways, it's like the last day of school. And you're going to say, I'll see you next after the summer. I'll see you in the fall. There's a little bit of that when it's like this. I know being a part of the food and beverage staff at the Air Canada Center in the early days, it very much was like this. We get to the end of the season and we like, I'll see you next year. And it's kind of like makes you feel like you're in grade school again. The one funny thing was that we always, as food and beverage workers, had 2 seasons. We had the season around the Air Canada Center and the Raptors and the Leafs and all the concerts and wrestling. And then in the summer, there's a summer schedule with concerts. Some of us would still work ACC during the summer, but a lot of us would transfer and go work for the Ontario Place in the summer around then. And we would go and work food and beverage at the park. And that's when I would go run that pizza stand behind the IMAX kiosk, the Cinesphere that's down at the water. In some ways, the things that are happening to Ontario Place are hurting me personally, because I have a lot of very strong memories about that location. And the fact that Doug Ford has privatized that land and is selling it out to a foreign company from Holland to build a crazy ass mega spa on our lake and destroy the wildlife and the memories of that park makes me sick to my stomach and makes me very upset. In some ways, our government should not be taking public lands and selling them to the highest bidder on they're probably making money themselves. Like Doug Ford, I wouldn't put it past them that he is making a kickback deal from Therme and giving them this crazy 90-year lease of Ontario Place. It's absolutely ridiculous. How the hell did we lose public lands to a company that's in Holland like this? It's the same stupid shit as paying a toll road to a company in another country. And why are our politicians selling us out, the citizens of our province in Ontario, for foreign investors to make money off of us like vampires and leeches and parasites? Because that's what that road is that Mike Harris set up north of the city, the toll road, 427 or whatever, 7. I don't drive it, so I don't even know the number of it. I boycott it. Well, Doug Ford is going to fucking sell our public memories like the Ontario Science Center and the Ontario Place to foreign companies just so he makes kickbacks and money back. Fuck you, Doug Ford. You're awful. And fucking with Ontario Place personally affects me and makes me mad, because I have a lot of memories from working there in the summer on my off job when I wasn't at Air Canada Center. So yeah, that's bullshit. Seriously, there's a lot of people that care about Ontario Place, and that's public land. And you selling it to the highest bidder, that is immoral, wrong, and that's not how government should work. I'm serious. That's not how it should work. That man needs to be out of office ASAP. In fact, if he has criminal dealings and the cops are just going to hide it and protect him, that's bullshit. Our system is corrupted, and Doug Ford is the epitome of it right there. Let's keep going. MSJ saying Jimmy Walker was a very funny guy, also a genuine good person, smart man. Yeah, I mean, he dated Ann Coulter. You can't be that smart. Naco the Nacho saying, don't know how much this game matters for the Pacers. I think I'd still rather a better pick for the Pacers. Well, this is the thing I'm going to say, Naco. It does matter to them. They're in trouble right now. They're in danger of falling into the play-in. So the Pacers are playing to win right now. It does matter. That's the thing. They're in a precarious situation with Philadelphia playing better, with Joel Embiid coming back, Miami surging a little bit. They're the last team that could fall into the play-in. So they need to win right now. So they have all the gumption in the world to try and beat us tonight, Indiana. And that may be why they do beat us, because they're worried about falling into the play-in bracket. And they're very, very close, Naco. You can go look at the standings and you will see just how close the Pacers are.
to falling out and the Sixers jumping up. In some ways, the NBA is going to try and orchestrate this by the end of the season. Watch. They may give a little lift to Nick Nurse and the Sixers to get them out of the play-in and push Pascal and the Pacers into the play-in. I'm telling you. So they are playing for something. And we're not thinking about our pick in relation to this. They're thinking about their playoff placement. And in some ways, they're not worried about where our pick is going to be because of the pick we got from them. No, they're worried about staying in the playoffs is what they're worried about. Paul's saying Raptors will do what's best for the team, win or develop or both. That's right. Paul B believes and trusts in Masai. And that's why we're going to give Paul a dunk because Paul's exactly right. He trusts Masai. He knows it's going to be. You got Scotty Barnes, number 4, Paul B. It's good to see you in the chat. Sometimes we don't see Paul in the morning. Paul's a great Raptor freak. He's always been around. He's in our Facebook chat. And yeah, we love you, Paul. Good to see you this morning. Let's see. Trevor J saying Missy Elliott tour coming to Toronto with Busta Rhymes. Timberland, August 19th, Scotiabank Arena. Man, what is this? Like you're doing the concert report right now. What is this, Trevor? In some ways, it's like it's funny. I don't mind it, I guess, in a way. But like, yeah, I heard that Missy Elliott concert was announced by Scotiabank Arena in the last couple of days. Okay, concert report. Are we looking at the Now magazine right now? Is that what's going on? Like, start telling me all the shows at Lee's Palace while you're at it, Trevor. Jeez, all right. Here's a very interesting news story that came out on ESPN yesterday. The Knicks have been fined. Yeah, $25,000 for violating the injury reporting rules, and it has to do with us, guys. You remember the game we just played against the Knicks on March the 27th? Mitchell Robinson came back in that game suddenly. Well, they didn't report Mitchell Robinson correctly, and the Knicks are getting fined $25,000 for not correctly reporting him coming back from injury when they played the Raptors on March 27th. I remember this. I did the injury report that morning. I said Mitchell Robinson will not be playing today. And then, boom, all of a sudden he was playing later on. Well, that's what happens. If you guys don't get your injury report right for Lex on the Raptor Freak preview in the morning and you're switching things around, all of a sudden, well, the NBA's watching and $25,000 fine. Boom. The Sixers just got fined for this also recently when Joel Embiid came back mysteriously quickly without giving any warning to the other team. Well, it's nice to see the NBA penalizing the Knicks with a fine for something that happened against the Raptors. In some ways, that makes me have a little bit more faith that this league is actually fair when I see the New York Knicks got a $25,000 fine for not reporting injury of Mitchell Robinson's injury status correctly the day we played them on March 27th. So just a little side story, a Raptor story with the Knicks and their stupid lawsuit and other bullshit. Yeah, well, $25,000 from you for not reporting Mitchell Robinson correctly. There you go. There you go. There you go. Nako saying, I didn't watch the whole game, but I wasn't seeing the defensive smarts. I would have liked to see great offense. Who are you talking about? What do you mean defensive smarts? What game are you talking about, Gerald? Oh, man, I need proper nouns, my guy. I know you're probably talking about the men's national championship final last night. And are you talking about Zach, that you didn't see defensive smarts from Zach? So you got to fill it in, man. I'm a baby. You got to baby me in the comments so I know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. Let's see. G saying Klingham looks so mid to me. Don't get the hype. Purdue couldn't shoot the three. UConn did a fantastic job guarding the perimeter. Yeah, okay. I like this scouting report from G. Very, very high-level, intelligent Raptor freak. Somebody I really respect a lot. He's saying that he doesn't get the hype with Klingham. I looked at him. You guys asked me to scout him, and I said, a lot of the things I don't think that will transfer with him is he does a lot of power stuff. He's very, very physical. In some ways, playing Zach last night showed it, that it's not going to transfer to the NBA. That there's bigger, stronger guys around him. He won't be able to do his little act that he's done for UConn in the recent years. Seriously. Because Zach stymied it. The guy only got 11 points. What's going to happen when he shows up in the NBA? He's going to try and bully his way around with guys in the league that are bigger and more experienced and stronger. He won't be able to do half his offensive bag. That's why I said Donovan Klingham is not a good draft pick. He's not somebody people should be trying to draft because half the shit he does on the court will not transfer to the NBA. He's too slow. He's not strong enough. And if he tries to do those power moves where he's bodying people, they're going to just body him out, and he's going to miss. He's not going to be able to do that to people like Draymond Green. Draymond Green will put him on his ass if he tries to play his physical power game in the NBA. I'm just telling you the truth. And that's why I agree with G. He is mid. He looks mid as hell, and it's mystifying to me that he's higher up on draft boards for this draft than people like Ware and Zach. It doesn't make any fucking sense to me. Kyle Ware is way better than Klingum, and so is Zach Edey. And it was proven on the court last night when Zach outplayed him, even though his team lost. Yeah. Purdue couldn't shoot the three. There you go. That's what happened. UConn did a great job as a team, and Zach was the best player on the court. Chris is saying, not trying to be too hard with Zach or Cornette for that matter. I see Edey as a backup, though. Sorry, and that's not a slight. He's just not modern NBA, but I like him. I want a huge center next year. No, it's all good. I think that Cornette is the joke in some ways. Like, he's very lumbersome and Herman Munster. And in some ways, that's not fair to Zach. Zach has more of a bag to him. He has more kind of different things. In some ways, he's a smarter player than Cornette in some ways. In some ways, he's a Celtic. And in some ways, I'm putting him down and discounting him partly because he's a Celtic. That's another part of it, too. That's why I'm like, don't compare him to Cornette. I mean, there's a lot of different lumbering bigs that in the history of the NBA. Once again, I keep calling Zach Edey Canadian Yao Ming. There's things about him that are very similar with Yao Ming as far as mannerisms and the way that he attacks and the way he shoots. You go back and watch some Yao Ming and watch Zach Edey right afterwards, and you'll see the parallels that I'm talking about right now. So let's not look so small and say, oh, he's just like Luke Cornette. No, I'm saying this motherfucker's Canadian Yao Ming. And that's what I'm trying to tell you all right now. Yeah. He could be a backup. I don't know what he's going to be. In some ways, he has to go and find out himself. You come in and compete and see, well, maybe he is a starter because he's that good. We don't know. In some ways, you're already relegating him to the bench. He could be a starting center in some ways. One of the things that they talked about yesterday was Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert's not really a three-point shooting guy. In some ways, he's slow and lumbersome, but he has a place in this league, and he can be a very powerful, helpful person. That was one of the people that Zach was compared to yesterday by Garrett and Kelly when they talked about Zach Edey. They said, well, Rudy Gobert is in the league, and in some ways he's very powerful as a shot blocker and just a size guy down low. Zach can play in this league too. That's kind of what the sentiment was right there. Yeah. I mean, I only say I slight is because I hate Cornette. Seymour saying, feeling bad for Edey, Canada strong. I don't feel bad for him. He had a really successful run. In some ways, you're not going to win them all. In some ways, he was the most dominant best player in the men's final. And that's all we need to say. He's the player of the year. He's getting a lot of shine. He looked better than Donovan. So, I mean, why do we feel bad about him? Only one team's going to win, and the best team won because they were the best overall team. He was the best overall player, though. Probably the best overall player in the tournament, and that's fantastic. Okay, Nako, you were talking about Zach. Okay, yeah, you weren't seeing the defensive smarts you would have liked to see. Well, one of the things on him is like and this is what Kelly talked about in his practice interview yesterday. See, they talked a lot about a lot of things. Is having foot speed to make the switches in a switchable offense. And that is something that he's going to have to be better about. It could be that you build a defensive system where he doesn't have to switch and he's a hub in the center. The other thing is Kelly alluded to the dimensions of the court are a lot different. The basketball court in the NBA is much bigger. In some ways in the college, you can just camp out as a big man and do a whole lot. That Kelly really did acknowledge that the NBA game and the college game are very, very different. So we'll have to see how much he transfers over. We'll have to see. In some ways, if he gets more fleet-footed and a little bit more quicker and his lateral moves and stuff like that, he can do better. We'll have to see. He's in some ways in development, Zach Edey, to see if he can be an NBA player. We'll have to see. Yeah. Infamous saying, salute, freaks. I know this is not popular take, but I have to be honest. Zach is a Dollarama yak. Wow, that's a very interesting comment. Yak gives us everything that Zach would give us plus more. Some of us need to take the Canadian blinders off. Wow, that's a good counterpoint. And you know what? This is a healthy debate. In some ways, we want to see it from all sides. I mean, listen, the comparisons between Yak and Zach are very much going to be there. And in some ways, we got to remember this. Jakob, when he showed up on the Raptors, may look like where Zach is right now. We've got to remember this is a journey, the NBA. And if these guys are smart, they have high IQ, and they work hard, they get better over the time. They get developed. And in some ways, you can say this about this comparison, Infamous, but I want to tell you right now, go watch Jakob Poeltl from his rookie year when he played for the Raptors. And let's think about it from that perspective. and we can see where Jakob is at this point. Well, that's what I'm saying. It used to be in the NBA that we had like a renewal system. You wanted to be sustainable as winning. Well, you had to have guys coming up underneath the guys, like succession. And in some ways, I think it may be smart to have Zach in the program, learning under him. And who knows where he gets to? You're calling him a Dollarama yak right now. Well, he could be a full-fledged yak in like 3 or 4 years from now, especially if he has the real yak next to him teaching him. So this is what I would say. Your comment is valid, and that may be very well true. But we'll look at Jakob when he was a rookie and look at where he's come to at this point and realize it's going to take time to develop a big. And maybe we get that big now and we start that succession plan right now. I don't know. Bobby Messiah, you listening to me? In some ways, you can bring him in and he'll just be a big body at the end to stop her. Maybe if he's not in the rotation. I don't know. I get it, Infamous. In some ways, the Canadian bonus is valued by me. And some of y'all are like, why do we just want to get Canadian players? Well, are you, as I said, are you watching RJ right now? Are you seeing what RJ's doing because he plays for his city? That is an intangible and a bonus that you want around your team is true passion, true loyalty, and true dedication to making your team better. There's no wavering on my worry about whether RJ Barrett has the best interest of the Toronto Raptors in his heart. And that's part of that's really good peace of mind. Let me just put it that way. That's really good peace of mind. Seymour saying, don't overlook Eddie. Yeah, I'm with Seymour. I'm going to give Seymour a dunk because I'm with him on this. I think that, listen, I am Team Zach for sure. And I am going to think very thoughtful, like positive things about his future. All right, you got 52, Seymour. You got the 52 card pickup. There you go. All right, let's see. G saying Edey had a total of 33-second break in 2 games combined. He only sat out 33 seconds in the last 2 games. Wow, that's what I'm saying. He doesn't get tired. His stamina is underrated, and on a balanced team with proper breaks, he can have rested legs. Yeah, I mean, in some ways, the slowness and stuff. Well, what if he doesn't get tired? That doesn't matter if he's slow or not. That's a big thing. Seriously, big guys get tired so quick, and Zach doesn't. In some ways, that's very, very good trade for the NBA. Really, really good trade. Really, really good trade. All right, we got to the Cosmic card. I see where I'm at now. Yeah, Smooth didn't know it because it wasn't 90s. It was too recent. This is like too recent. This is like 2010s. So, yeah. But, all right, once again, I'm going to give 50 points to Seymour because he gave half the answer. And Stargate will get the full 100 for putting it together. Yeah, it's all good, Seymour. It's all good. Let's see. Chris is saying it jumped all the way to the bottom. I need to see where I'm at here. All right, and I do want to cut off today. We'll do the cutoff at 11, if that's cool. That's in like 3 minutes, guys. Wow, good to see David's in here. All right, we'll see. I'm gonna get in here. All right, Chris is saying I did say he was better than Cornette. I did say that. Not a straight comparison, but they are the same size and move the same, in my opinion. And never half acid, always full acid. I've had enough. Yeah, that's a funny joke. Are you alluding to like Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, making his ass talk or whatever? Fiercely saying he looks injured in the face. Who looks injured in the face? Who got injured in the face? Nako saying, I don't think I'm getting a good look at his face either way. Oh, the card. Yeah, he looks injured in the face. Yeah, he does look a little weird in the face. Like it's got like weird lines over it. What is that? It's almost like he's in the Matrix, Courtney Kirkland. He's in the Matrix, y'all. Look at how much his face is in the Matrix. What is that? I think it's the net's shadow over his face from the light that makes it look all crazy. It's literally the net that's on his face. I think that's what that is. It's crazy. Let's see. Stargate saying, didn't Mozgov also play for the Lakers? Yes, he did. He did. Let me see. Is it on the card in the bottom? It looks like Knicks, Nuggets, Cavs, and then Lakers afterwards. I'm pretty sure he did play for the Lakers after. Let's see. Cool Cat's here. Good morning, Raptor Freak crew. Last home game of the season. Wow, I can't believe the season's over. Now I'm wondering, are you going? Because I know your guy Siakam's going to be in town. And this is a fun game to go to. See Pascal come back and be in front of the crowd at Toronto. Of course, I'm sure we're going to cheer him very loudly when he gets announced before the game, as we should always honor a great standing, awesome, long-time Raptor that is just currently gone to a new team. We love Siakam. We always will, Cool Cat. He is awesome. We love 43. And I want that up in the rafters, that 43. That's right. A cool cat. She said she wasn't going to go to any more games, but maybe she is going tonight just because it's Siakam. Seymour saying Mozgov played for the Nuggets too. Yeah, earlier. He was actually a Nuggets draft pick. Fiercely saying, Lex, you mentioning the pointless system reminds me of how much of a great clickbait it was. Yeah, that was well crafted. I wanted to get the haters in here and kind of net them in by saying, ooh, this guy's negging the Raptors by saying they're pointless at this point. Ooh, yeah, that was a good one, Fiercey. That was fun. That was a very well crafted headline for my stream that day. Yeah, Kareem saying, I'm still trying to understand why the NCAA hates has to have halves instead of 4 quarters. I get they don't want to tamper with the college game, but it's time to change. It even the women's NCAA has 4 quarters. That is weird. I've never really thought about that. Well, I will say it is probably tradition. It is probably in some ways the NCAA takes their records very seriously. So they kind of want to have the same template and frame for how their games go down. So it's fair. So that when you compare different eras, you can actually do a real statistical analysis in a fair way because the time was exactly the same. I don't know. It's a weird thing to handle. It's 2 30-minute halves, right? That's 60 minutes. So in some ways, or wait, no, is it 2 20-minute halves? I don't know. It's either, I think it's 2 20-minute halves. So it's 40 minutes. It's actually 8 minutes less than an NBA game. So I don't know. They're going to do it the way they're going to do it. In some ways, I like the standard thing for so long because, like I said, once again, they can compare eras and it statistically can kind of like match up. In some ways, the NBA can't do that. They've added a 3-point shot. They've changed a lot of rules in a lot of different places. And it's really hard to compare stats correctly between present day NBA, like the 70s, the 40s, the 60s, the 80s, even the 2000s. It's not totally the same because of the 3-point shots importance at this point in today's game. So in some ways, I like the standardness so that they can go across eras statistically comparison. So it is weird. And it's weird that the women's game did that, but they didn't do it with the men's. That is weird, Kareem. Fiercely saying, the fact Garrett said some teams don't even look at film after losses, I was shocked. As a player, I would not like to be part of such a losing system. Creates bad mentality and does not push you. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. We got to understand there's all kinds of different levels of what coaching staffs and front offices and different things are doing. In some ways, if you do the extra work and you go the extra mile, you get further, right? Our franchise goes above and beyond in different things. We talked about recently how they're so great about how they've treated family and friends of players. They're so great about just being a class act. It's kind of going to the funerals recently for RJ and Emmanuel's families. You know, there's so much we go above and beyond on that makes it all why it is what it is. In some ways, you think the Wizards do half the shit that we do for our team? Do you think the coaching staff puts half of the work that our coaching staff puts in? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying right there. And exactly. The Garrett and Kelly have both been on bad NBA teams before, and they weren't like the bad NBA team they're on right now. They were not professional and they were giving up and they were like, yeah. They're just like, yeah, whatever. We're throwing our hands up. The season's over. Let's just get to vacation. That's kind of like what Kelly said. He's dealt with that. I'll bet you that happened in Detroit when he was there. When he was on Detroit a couple of years ago, I'll bet you that's how his seasons would end. And nobody gave a shit. And they just kind of went through the motions for the rest of the year. The Pistons. You can see who Kelly played for in the past that was really bad and understand the teams that waved the white flag and didn't continue to try and work right up until the very end like we are doing right now. And that's awesome. That is awesome. Nameless saying, I do not want Garrett on the team next season. He has shown Scotty all he can about leadership. That's ridiculous. In fact, he's still sitting on the bench next to Scotty for games right now. And honestly, the wealth of knowledge from a player that's been in the league for so long, this 37 years old, you can never learn enough. In fact, we know in the NBA, different situations pop up, and sometimes new learning experiences can come up at any time. To say that he has shown him everything he can teach him is absolute poppycock. And I will not have it, Nameless. That's ridiculous. Like I said, I value Garrett being on this team as a leader in all kinds of different ways and a break-in in case emergency veteran that can come in and settle things down in different ways. If he physically can still play next year and Masai and Bobby want to put him on this team again, I fully endorse it. And some people that heard the interview yesterday and the way Garrett talked in practice, in the comments underneath it, they're all saying, man, this guy needs to be on the team next year too. So yeah, check yourself, Nameless. We can learn more from Garrett Temple forever. Let's see. And the Nameless saying that's a roster spot for somebody who can contribute on the floor. What the fuck do you think this motherfucker's been doing for a month, Nameless? You're getting a strike. You're degrading the work that Garrett Temple has put in during this losing streak. That guy was like really good for us during this time. He was being very professional, very good role model for these guys. I mean, he's getting on the floor, chasing the ball with Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves, very young Lakers. He was getting on the floor and fighting him for a loose ball. You tell me that guy's not working and he doesn't have anything to offer our team. That's bullshit. In fact, he came in and he hit big threes at times in recent games too. Nameless, are you watching the games or not? Because you saying that he can't contribute on the floor is absolute horse shit. In some ways, you just piss me off, Nameless. Degrading Garrett Temple for no reason. Listen, intangibles matter. Every single time they get on the court before the game, he talks to the referees and he makes sure they give us a fair shake. You don't think that's worth something? Seriously, having the vice president of the players union on your team is worth something. Just trust me, Nameless. Yeah, and if he wants to be on our team next year and Masai wants him to be on this team next year, I fully endorse 2 thumbs up. This is a good idea. And you can say it's wasting a spot. That's bullshit. That is bullshit. Some ways I was like, yeah, why did we get Garrett at the beginning of the season? We already have Otto. We already have Thad. Well, I found out by the end of the season why we got Garrett. And in some ways, he's an upgrade on Thad and Otto. Trust me. He's very much an upgrade. And listen, he went through this whole season with everybody. You saw everything. So in some ways, yeah, there's always some knowledge. He can help guide things. In some ways, Darko probably asked Masai to get Garrett because he knew that he needed a vet on this team that could be very smart and knowledgeable to help him with his culture getting set up. Garrett was probably very key this year to keeping the ship steady to this point, and the consistency. As a veteran player off the bench, mentoring the young guys, and helping Darko as a leader on this team establish what his vision was for the team. Once again, Darko said he had to establish a culture this year, and that's hard. He's got to get the coaches to do certain things a certain way and the players, and they have to understand his vision. Once he feels like they understand his vision, he lets them go and do more on their own because they are working towards the same vision. And in some ways, that's the way a coach does it. And this is how we're going to execute and win off of it. Once he gets players and the coaches and leaders like Garrett Temple have more say, and they help police Darko's system because they understand what matters to him. So in some ways, Garrett Temple being on this team is a safeguard, is instilled and stays going consistently. So yeah, don't even come here with the half-ass garbage. I'm getting that garbage out of here. Just like Jack would say with your dumb 2 comments about Garrett Temple right there. There you go. Davis dropping a bomb here is what he's saying. No. He had not touched Scotty everything. Come on, man. What is this? You can learn every day. You think you get to a certain age and I just learned everything in the world. I don't have to learn anything else ever again for the rest of my life. Bullshit. There you go. Tom Duke saying, yeah, at what point do we not require those old head roles? Never. Seriously, y'all are going the wrong way. You always need one vet on your team. Always. Thaddeus was that guy for a couple years. Well, Garrett is that guy now. No, you don't just go and say, yeah, we don't need vets anymore. No, you always need a vet. Kelly's a vet. That's a good thing. I don't understand this. Why y'all anti-old head? We're old heads. We should be on the old head side. You kind of agreed with your bold friend? Nah, Tom, don't get in there with Nameless. This is a ridiculous idea. Now, listen, I trust Masai. Masai said we don't need Garrett anymore next year because we have Kelly and this and this. And then, okay. But I'm just saying, I would love to have Garrett on our team next year because I see all the really good intangibles that you don't see on the court. Like I said, he can go up to Courtney Kirkland tonight and talk to him before the game. And he immediately gets us better respect with the referees before the game is even started. You going to tell me that's not valuable? You can tell me that's not valuable, Tom and Nameless, to have a player that has the respect of all the coaches, all the players, and all the referees in this entire league, and he can come up to a referee and he'll say something to them and they respect him. In some ways, he gets us more favor in our favor because he's on our team, and he doesn't even have to play. And some people know he's a power player in this league as far as in the players union and also as a lawyer. Also has an upstanding, great, pristine, 100% reputation. No, this guy's an asset in all kinds of ways. And y'all are ridiculous for wanting to cast him out like the scraps from the dinner table. Y'all are crazy. No, this is valuable. And seriously, with the youngness on our team, to have him as a balance is fantastic. He's taken a vested interest in every single one of these 905 guys that got called up and trying to mentor them. The way he's talked on Raptors show. First of all, if y'all aren't watching Garrett Temple on the Raptors show, y'all don't have a good opinion about him. First of all, he said that stuff like he was talking about Jahmi'us Ramsey and the specialization of the little bit of time he had with Jahmi'us Ramsey and him helping him and talking to him. He takes a personal interest in every single one of these guys that comes up. As soon as Malik Williams showed up, Garrett was trying to help him and get him oriented and feeling more comfortable on the team, helping to teach him with the other coaches. So there's a value that's intrinsically awesome with Garrett Temple. And in fact, he's very unique in this league. There's a reason why almost every single team in this league would love to have Garrett Temple on their team. And y'all don't value him. You're saying we can get rid of him. Y'all are crazy. Y'all are crazy. This is one of the worst takes I've heard today. Is you think that old heads don't belong on our team. No, guys. You guys are wrong. You guys are wrong. Carlos saying Edey has that magic touch, good hands, but he'll get torched with that drop coverage. Well, you got to make a system that can hide his weaknesses. That's just what you got to do, Carlo, right there. David saying Denver Nuggets had a DeAndre Jordan on their bench as a vet last year when they won the chip. It's normal for teams to have these vets. Yes. I don't understand. Y'all been watching the NBA a long time. Usually it was a vets league. I get it. It's not really a vets league anymore. Vets are endangered species. Young people are cheaper to pay than the old vets. But if you can get vet minimums on people like Garrett Temple, they're worth it. Trust me. They are worth it. In some ways, older players that still want to play, that get up and are professional and do the work every single day in their late 30s, these guys work hard and they're great role models for people. In some ways, to have that gumption to do it still for less pay. In some ways, most of these guys are making under $5 million a year. And then also they have to continue to do the work and on their body and the travel and all this kind of stuff is aggravation. That shows true dedication to want to continue to be in the NBA. And I'm telling you, y'all need to read that article by Mark J. Spears that Garrett Temple is a very big part of. There's a lot of education y'all need to do. Y'all need to just go do a Google search or a YouTube search for Garrett Temple and just watch everything from him recently, whether it's the Raptors show, whether it's him on 905 doing color commentary, whether it's him practice interview yesterday, whether it's him, whatever, that article on ESPN from Mark J. Spears. Get yourself a little educated on Garrett Temple, gentlemen, because I feel like you're selling him short is what I'll say right there. Yeah. David saying, what team plays 15 to 17 man rotation every night anyway? Boom goes the dynamite. And David is going to get a 3-pointer for this because he's exactly right. In some ways, listen, this guy can play. He proved that he can still come out and play. Everybody made jokes at the beginning of the season. Garrett Temple, he can't even play in the NBA. Why is he on a roster spot? Bullshit, motherfucker. The shit hit the fan. Nobody could play for us anymore. Garrett Temple took his jersey and got on the court. So I'm just saying, y'all, seriously, have some more respect for a 37-year-old that survived in the NBA for this long. A guy who started on 10-day contracts. Seriously, this guy didn't get drafted. This guy made the league the hard way. He proved his mettle and proved his worth through 10-day contracts, no guaranteed. He was the master of 10-day contracts. You do not know this about Garrett Temple, that he had like 10-day contracts before he actually got his first NBA contract. That's a survivor. That's somebody who could teach somebody about being in the NBA. That they made it that way, I think y'all are so off base with any anti-Garrett Temple being on this team takes. I'm just going to say that. Now, it's not up to me. If he's not on our team next year, so be it. But I would be more than happy if Garrett Temple's on a roster spot next year. Yeah, Tom saying, I guess so. I just keep cheering. There you go, Tommy. That's the right way. David saying, I really don't see the harm with having a vet on the bench. Thank you, David, at all. But all right, I'm in. Get that old fucker out of it. What? David, don't do this. Don't listen to them. Bullshit. Listen to Lex. Don't let the door hit you on the way out, Garrett. You old fuck. That's disrespectful and fucked up. David, you're getting a strike. Nameless, you're getting a strike. And Tom, you're getting one too for jumping in on this. Y'all are the Three Stooges on this. David, what a really horrible heel turn. I know you're trolling in some ways. Smooth saying, if this was 25 years ago, Zach would be a top 3 pick. That is another really good comment. He would be a top 3 pick. He's exactly right. Smooth Brown Man is exactly right. That is totally true. If this was a different era, it probably could be any era, even leading up to maybe like 2010. This would happen. Seriously, he's exactly right. I'm going to give you a 3-pointer. You got Isaiah Thomas 11, my guy. Isaiah Thomas 11, original president of the Raptors. That's right. That's right. Yeah, no, he's exactly right with this. If this was a different era, Zach's a top 5 pick, if not the top pick in the draft. Fiercely saying, I want at least one vet on the team. Seems to be a pattern. Although we did utilize Thad quite a bit in recent hardships, I prefer Temple's contribution, and also his interviews put us in a good light. You got to understand, this guy is just a top-notch person, human being, but besides being a basketball player, he truly cares. He has a really, like, he knows everybody in the league. He has friendships and relationships with everybody. I'm sure he's real tight with Adam Silver. There's all kinds of different ways that Garrett Temple has really good bonuses for us. We are blessed and lucky that he's on our roster. In some ways, I would argue the success that we've had keeping the ship afloat in this very tumultuous, crazy season was helped by Garrett Temple being on this team. The fact that he was here from the very beginning right up until the end really helped. I'm sure he was very helpful for Scotty in understanding the changes and the things that happen with this team in the right way. Seriously, you guys are not understanding. You may see the tip of the iceberg. You're not seeing the whole iceberg under the water, is what I'm saying to y'all. Let's see. Fiercey's also saying he seems more locked in with Raptors culture. It matters to me. In some ways, he's not totally a Raptors man. He's an NBA man. In some ways, he has no true loyalty to us other than we pay him. He's on our team. He doesn't have to be here. In fact, this offseason, somebody could lure him away and get all the benefits from him that I've talked about just now that y'all don't value. And honestly, I think you guys are being fools, is what I'm saying. Bryce is saying, I'd rather have Garrett Temple, who will mentor and lead them, than a guy who thinks he has something to prove, honestly. Boom, goes the dynamite. I'm with Bryce on this one, too. You want a professional team, you have to have professionals on it. You want some knucklehead young kid to just have that spot who may not be acting professional? Well, that's a very different thing. Then all of a sudden you look like Charlotte. That's what I'm saying right there. Fiercely saying, Will Lou needs to be checked for his line of questioning. That was extremely cringe. Oh, yeah. Will, do you ever watch yourself back like I do every morning when I watch myself back and cringe? I do sometimes. I do cringe when I say some things. And I'm like, wow, Lex, you really shouldn't have said that about Coloco. Yeah. Yeah, I do cringe on some of the things I'm saying. Do you cringe after you watch your Marc Gasol interview this weekend? I hope you do. You should. You should very much. And next time, alcoholism is no joke. Don't be making funny jokes about alcoholism. Treat it very seriously. It's a social disease, and it affects everybody's lives every single day in the community. And you taking it lightly and thinking it's just a little joke, fuck you, Will Lou. Once again, I'll say it again. Smooth saying, well, he's a Rogers guy, so it's not surprising. Yeah, it's true. Carlos saying, I used to love listening to Will. Now I can't stand him. He's sold out. I told him, too, when I saw him at the game that year. I was like, oh, you're on Rogers Sportsnet now. You go big time. Don't get too big for your britches, Will Lou, is what I said to him. Well, he kind of has. In some ways, he's compromised corporately, and it's too bad. It's too bad because he was really good free press kind of like independent journalist for a long time. Well, he sold out. He's on the big time now. And in some ways, he's compromised. In some ways, he's getting the bulletins of what he can and can't do according to corporate speak Rogers. So in some ways, yeah, you're exactly right. It is what it is. It is what it is. Carlos saying, yeah, how about focus on Mark's career? Geez, how stupid can you get? It's such an easy interview. I know. Why do you want to humiliate him? Why do you want to make him feel bad? I'm sure he was not happy with you bringing that line of questioning up. Like, seriously, Will Lou, do you care about whether people like you as far as your interview people? Forget about me. If you don't care if I like you or not, you run a show called The Raptors Show. And I'm one of the biggest Raptors freaks, biggest Raptors fans in the history of the Raptors, and I hate your show. So that says something. Seriously. You're going to go and have Hall of Famer, NBA champion, Toronto Raptor NBA champion Marc Gasol on your show. You're going to get that honor. You're going to be treating him disrespectfully like that? Yeah, fuck you, Will Lou. You should not be the person doing that job. I'm not saying I should do it because I may not do the job any better, but I'm just saying there's probably better people out there that need to be interviewing people with more respect and maturity and not being so stupid with how you do it. You think you're so funny and snarky, but you're not. You come off as an ass disrespectful towards the Toronto Raptors NBA champion from 2019, Marc Gasol. That's how you came off. And I'm sure Mark was not happy with your questioning. It could be very well, Will Lou, you burn bridges and you don't even know it. You may piss some people off when you're interviewing them. They're like, you know what? I never want to talk to that asshole ever again. If they call me and say, Will Lou wants to interview me, I'm not going to listen to him because he tried to make fun of me for being drunk at the parade. That could very well be it, Will Lou. A word of caution for you and your dumbass snarkiness. That's the word. That's right there. That's right. Chris is saying, Will Lou needs to go away. He's snarky. You have to be professional. When you're a professional, no dumb jokes. I know full well my approach here for jokes would not fly. Not like that in a working life. Yeah, in some ways, listen, you can have fun, but there's ways of having fun that aren't degrading to your interview person. Seriously, Lindsay Dunn has fun all the time in her interviews, but she's not making somebody look bad. She's kind of making a fun little flirty joke or some little something like this, but she's not putting the person down or making them feel like shit. Like you are, Will Lou. You did the same thing to Dennis this year, too. On the down low, you were snarky and making fun of Dennis to his face in some of the interviews you did with Dennis Schroeder while he was still on the Raptors. And I'm telling you, you're doing this more often than you think you are. And if you do watch me, Will, and this is one of the best critique kind of places you can get a critique in the Raptors world is the Raptor Freak stream. Yeah, check yourself and be more professional and drop your snarky little shit. It may be enjoyable for you, but a lot of the people that are watching it aren't in on the joke with you. They think you're a fucking asshole. And anybody who does enjoy that kind of shit, well, you're being disrespectful towards Marc Gasol, just like Will is what I'm going to say on that. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Tom's saying I'm spinning. Uh-oh. 2 hours in. I better finish up. 11:20. Aha. Okay, I thought it was just me. Me too. There's a little bit of spinning today. All right. Hopefully it went down and went away. And as long as I'm good right now, it seems like we're good right now. We got a good number. Yeah, if they're going to do that, they're going to do that to me a little bit, probably. They're holding me down. They can't give me a clear signal because they know what I'm saying here. Okay, we're good now? All right, good. All right, yeah, it's on. Cool Cat saying GTA, that's the concept some U.S. don't get. Yeah, the greater Toronto area. The thing is that they should understand this because every major city in the States has an area around it too. You know, the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Do they actually say that Fort Worth people don't count with Dallas people? No. Did you ever hear anybody say I'm from Fort Worth? Maybe, but most of the time they're going to say they're from Dallas. Seriously. I mean, in some ways you could look at where Scotty's from. Scotty is from Palm Beach, but Palm Beach in very much different ways could be considered Miami or Fort Lauderdale. In some ways, Fort Lauderdale could be considered Miami because it's all in one big city lump and it's connected with total urbanness between it. There's no rural break between it. It's not like you go from Miami to Tampa. There's the Everglades. No, Fort Lauderdale is connected to Miami. And in some ways, people from Fort Lauderdale could be in some ways from Miami, just as much as Scotty's from Palm Beach is from Miami to a degree. And that's the thing they don't understand. In some ways, they're like I said, they just want to slight us in the ranking and saying, you guys they don't like us being so high. In some ways, it was really bad where New York was on that list. New York City is 11th on that list, and they used to be number one historically forever. From the beginning of the NBA right up until like not that long ago, New York was number one city for scoring in the NBA. It's 11th at this point. It has dropped dramatically. Seattle, Dallas, Toronto, Los Angeles, all above it at this point. Chicago, above it. Detroit, above it. Philadelphia, above it. New York, 11th at this point. So, yeah. Fiercely saying, I just added a comment on the Will Lou interview. I wrote it was a lack of professionalism and cringy. There you go, Fiercely. Get the word out. In some ways, listen, don't make fun of people's alcohol consumption. You trying to allude that he had a drinking problem or something like that, or you think it's just funny? You know, it's not. It's not. People die of alcoholism every day. They crash cars into people and kill innocent people. There's no laughing matter about being overly inebriated. And in some ways, you know, pointing out the black eye of some of the things that happened with Mark that day is not nice. You want to remind him of the good times and the great accomplishments of what he did on the court. Talk more about him and how he handled Embiid like you did than him in a bottle of wine hanging over the edge of the bus in the championship parade. It's just not classy. And thank you, Fiercey, for writing a comment. In fact, I'm going to give you a 3-pointer for that. because honestly, we make our voices heard. We can help shape things around the Raptors because we are their fans. 86 for Fiercey. You got a 1986. Not a bad year. Not a bad year. Kareem saying, I've been off Twitter since the beginning of Lent. This is just as good as my sobriety. Twitter will overtake your common sense and make you do mental exercises over the most basic shit. I love that you did this. I know that you joke all the time, but I feel like you're being very serious right now. And I'm going to give you a 3 because honestly, that's badass. 113 for Kareem Thomas. Because that is tough. I mean, in some ways, I don't even use Twitter for this channel anymore. I used to use Twitter and Facebook and Instagram very extensively. Sometimes I go to Instagram, it's garbage. Still do the Instagram stories to a degree, but Twitter offers me absolutely nothing of worth for this channel other than the breaking news from Shams, Woj, Grange, and Lewinberg. But I don't use it anymore. I don't have a Twitter tab up right now to go and get any information because honestly, it's all garbage at this point. In fact, Elon has made it a den of racism, of divide. In some ways, I wonder why I'm getting so much pro-Israel shit in my feed on Twitter. Like they're trying to make my mind, change my mind about it. They're putting out all this stupid ass propaganda justifying the genocide that Israel's doing right now. And that's totally Elon trying to shape perceptions and things by controlling the platform and what people see. I see way more right-wing pundits in my face on the For You tab, and I don't follow anything like that. So he's trying to change base of like where people's perspective is more right-wing by forcing more right-wing things to follow in your For You tab, whether it's pro-Israel stuff, pro-right-wing stuff, pro-conservative, pro-Republican bullshit. And I see right through it, Elon, that in some ways you bought that platform to make it a den of a cesspool of racism, open racism, also open misinformation stream. And really, you're tailoring people like me that are very left leaning, and all my clicks will show that on everywhere with the cookies, that you're throwing shit like that in front of me to try and sway me to other places. Yeah, that's messed up. And I can see right through it. And that's why Twitter is compromised ever since Elon Musk purchased it. And if you go on there and look at it with your open eyes and look at why is this on my Twitter feed right now, you'll realize Elon is shaping things for you because he wants you to think the way he thinks. And that's what I'm going to say on that. He wants you to follow right-wing pundits and fall in that trap. He wants you to start supporting Israel. And he's putting propaganda out there to justify a genocide right now. It's messed up. It's a messed up situation all around. Twitter is a cesspool. Good for you. Give it up forever, honestly. Carlos saying, Will Lou doesn't even have the credibility of an ex-player to be respected, so he has to be careful. No, he has a pattern of being disrespectful to the players. That shit he did to Chris Boucher was absolutely wrong, and he did have to apologize to Chris eventually. In some ways, they say they're half like together, they're fine, but Chris obviously thinks Will Lou's a piece of shit. He's annoying because honestly, you don't talk about somebody's body shape like that the way that Will Lou did. And yeah, it's so bad. Like, it's really cringe. Will, if you could understand how much of a snarky asshole you really are, hopefully you would change. Man, I miss Alex Wong. Let's just put it that way. David's saying, adapt to Carlos, adapt to Tom Duke, adapt to Fiercey, adapt to Dana, adapt to Chris, adapt to Kareem, adapt to Bryce, adapt to Trevor, adapt to Stargate, adapt to Shere Khan, adapt to Nako, adapt to Paul B, adapt to G, adapt to Seymour, adapt to Infamous, adapt to Smooth Brown Man, and adapt to Nameless. Bam. There you go. Love it. I love it. Look at all that dapping, man. I got to work out. Chris is saying garbage. It's called a garbage can. And laugh out loud, trying to be positive given losses on the horizon. You're being too pessimistic. I think we can win tonight against the Pacers, and that's what I want to see tonight. And dap to me, thank you. Yeah, respect to David from Carlo. Kareem saying David just punched us all. 114. That's funny. That's funny. David just punched us all. That's hilarious. Let's see. Tom's represented. David saying, you're tripping. We're getting the W tonight. That's right, David. That's the right attitude. Tell Chris. Come on, man. We're going to win tonight. We're trying to win. This isn't what we were doing a month ago. Fuck that. We are winning now. We're trying to win. We're getting the dubs. The dubs, baby. Let's see. Carlos saying, this is why we need a legit backup point guard. When Quick sits, they lose momentum. You know, in some ways, I will argue this is probably a good position to fill this summer, but in some ways, we don't necessarily need this also. I mean, we know who our backup point guard is. He's sitting over there with a broken left hand. Yeah, it's healed, almost healed. We know who our backup point guard is. Come on. And we know that if IQ's coming out, well, Scotty can run the point when he comes out. That's the pattern that's been for the last couple years already. That in some ways IQ comes out, well, Scotty can be the point guard. But it is true. It'd be nice to have somebody like Dennis off the bench backing it up. I agree with that. We'll have to see. I really love the idea of getting Corey Joseph. I know that a lot of people are like, he's so old. Why would we get him? He's perfect for this role. Seriously. He's perfect. And once again, oh no, Lex getting more old heads on our team that we don't need. He's old. No, you just want him because he's from Toronto. Yeah, but he's played with RJ and Kelly for a couple years now. Him and Kelly are really tight. And Corey Joseph returning to the Raptors this summer would be really good if he's not too old and he's out of the league all of a sudden, because that could happen too. He's very close to being maybe out of the league. But if we got Corey Joseph for one more year next year, he could be a very good, suitable backup point guard that's exactly right for what we need. Veteran minimum and exactly right. And the bonuses of him playing with Olynyk are very good. Trust me. These guys are the old head, old guard vets for Team Canada. So if they're on the Raptors too, hey, that's not a bad thing. I know, once again, I'm going on and on and bringing in more old Canadian guys on our team. Well, there's nothing wrong with that, I believe. Stargate saying, yeah, Molly Weir used to have really good takes, but for some reason she has totally changed her tune recently and done a 180. She has started to sound like a Pencerite. This is the tough time. When you go through a season like this year where there's losing and like a lot of disappointment, we really test the colors of the Raptors fans of whether they are real ones with the team. In some ways, the way we've behaved and how we've gone through this whole thing has been right. But a lot of the people on Twitter have overreacted, acted stupid, gone negative, kicked the team while they're down, trying to just be witty or funny. And that's not the way to do it. And in some ways, that's not the Molly I was talking about, but she is one of the Mollys I do see on there sometimes. And yeah, I've noticed that she's been more negative recently. There is another Molly that I saw. There's a couple Mollys on there. And that's not necessarily the Molly I was talking about. Just so you know, Molly, if you are watching Molly Weir, it's not you I was saying. It was another Molly that had like Molly B or something. It wasn't a very big prominent name that I was kind of talking about earlier. But yeah, that Molly has definitely turned this season. I noticed that too. It was somebody that I didn't mind following for the most part. But then at some point, like in the last 3 months, really, really not for the team. And in some ways, not showing fan kind of energy for the Toronto Raptors at this point. In some ways, I get it. The press are going to be assholes. Josh Lewinberg's been a real asshole towards the Raptors in the last 2 weeks. Kurthika, it's great, her stats, but when we're losing, she's going to put all these depressing stats out there and it's going to make it sad. But if you balance it and make the positive stuff when the positive stuff's happening, I have no problem with you, Kurthika. But the thing is that some of y'all out there are kicking the team down while they're down, and you have too much glee while you're doing it. Yeah, that makes me feel like you're not really a Raptors fan. Yeah, I don't know what Molly Weir is. If she's following He Who Shall Not Be Named, well, that's her own stupid decision. Yeah, dap to David for sure. Carlos saying Malachi back to his old brick shooting self. He's trying to say that, yeah, this is not a fluke, is what Malachi tried to say. He's like, this is not a fluke that I got 50 points. Okay. Sure. I don't have to agree with him. I knew that he was capable of this and he might do this someday. I'd wished it had been in a Raptor jersey for the whole time that he was on the team, but he didn't while he was on our team. It took sinking all the way to the bottom to the Pistons and being on their bench and being a nobody for him to have no pressure and come up and get a 50-point game. But yeah, blip on the radar. In some ways, some people will say it is a fluke. I won't say it's a fluke. I knew he had that capability, but I think it may never happen again. I mean, that's the way I look at it. Kareem saying Tyus Jones, Dennis Schroeder, who is who I want to back up point guard, unless JFL makes a great leap in the offseason, which I do believe is possible. Jeff Doughton got a 2-year deal in Philly. I love the Tyus Jones idea, but he may be too expensive. He's younger, and he's gotten to be more well-known and how good he is. In some ways, he's like a Fred VanVleet kind of clone. There's a lot of things about Tyus Jones that have similarities to Fred, not other than just that they kind of look like each other to a degree. So he's great, but the price tag may be too high on him. Dennis, we've already been there. And in some ways, I don't know if he'll circle back and come back here. If there is some sort of crazy, weird plan of getting it somehow, some way to get Dennis back here, I'd love that, obviously. You guys know how much I like Dennis. But I don't think it's in the cards. JFL becoming a good point guard, backup point guard for next year, that's not going to happen. In some ways, his build is so opposite being a point guard that I don't see him becoming a sound point guard. In some ways, like I said, he would be like having Malachi as our point guard again. It would be exactly the same. He'd come in and he'd probably miss some shots. He wouldn't pass it to anybody. And we'd be like, why were we playing this guy at backup? So I don't like the player build that JFL is to fill that particular role. This is something that Kelly talked about yesterday too, so much in the practice interviews, talking about changing roles. And he had to change his role a lot since he showed up on the Raptors. Kelly's gone back and forth from all kinds of things, whether he's a backup center when Jakob's healthy, whether he's like a starter, whether he's like one of the main people on the team because so many people are hurt and he has to do so many roles all at once. And he was really talking about Grady to a degree. The Grady's had to try different roles, and this is very good for him. Now that he's started some games, now he's coming off the bench as a sixth man. Learning all these different roles and doing these different jobs is really, really, really valuable for somebody like Grady in his rookie year. So different roles at different times. You got to understand whether the player will fit those roles. And I don't think JFL fits backup point guard role for NBA team, number 2 on depth chart. No. He's going to either be third at best. But he's not going to be ready to be the backup point guard off the bench for us next year. And in some ways, he's not even the road I want to even go down to try and do this. He's not the right player build. We want a true distributor. You want somebody like Tyus Jones, Dennis Schroeder, or Corey Joseph. Yeah. Cowboy saying, good morning, Lex and Raptor Freaks. Dap, it's game day. Let's go, Cowboy. Bradley, Tada Services. We're in your working area, the GTA. They will come to you anywhere in Toronto. Brampton, Mississauga, Scarborough, Markham, Thornhill, Richmond Hill. Hey, any of Toronto, Bradley will be there. 647-833-6844. Spring cleaning is here. That's right. David's dapping Cowboy, and Evelyn's here. We love Evelyn, baby Candace, and the new baby Prince Toussaint. I love Evelyn so much. Good morning, Raptor Freak family. Yes, we need a third refreshing win game. Yes, she wants dinner with Darko. About the Molly, she may have failed relationships, so she directed her frustrations to the Raptors. Oh, you saw this? She said, you saying that Molly had a failed relationship with one of the Raptors and she's a spurned lover? Is this what you're saying, Evelyn? She's got like the deep inside stuff, the relationship stuff going on here. It's like Evelyn is like got the pulse on the romance side of things. Okay, maybe that is what happened. I don't know. There's all these women in these social media places. It's like this is in bio. You know what I'm saying? This in bio, P word in bio. There's a lot of like comments on Raptors related tweets where it's saying like, I was with him last night. He's so good. And like, I'm like, what? Wait a second. These are bots, right? They're bots, sex bots coming on Twitter's tweets and saying, yeah, I was with him. He's so good. I love you, Scotty. I was with you last night. I'm like, I don't know who to believe, but maybe Evelyn's right. She may know that Molly was spurned by Gary Trent Jr. or something like that. I don't know. It could be the truth. All right, let's see. Where is Evelyn? We're giving Evelyn some points for being here, participating, and having a fun scoop. Evelyn, I'm going to give you a 3-pointer. You've got a Manuel Quickly 5. There you go. Granny swag, swagging out with a 3-pointer today. I love it. Chris is saying, I have my doubts. JFL is back. Maybe he plays for the Pegasus in Korea and averages 50 points. Andrew Nicholson from Toronto, ex-Magic player, plays there. Oh, interesting. Listen, in some ways, guys like Kobe Simmons, Javon Freeman Liberty, Daryl Morsell, these guys, in some ways, I don't know where their road stops, where they try to continue to get into the NBA from the G League. At a certain point, they got to think about the money they can make overseas, it being way more than their NBA dream, and just cashing out. And in some ways, I would say this, that JFL could go somewhere and be very, very wealthy and be like the man and absolutely have a huge successful career in Europe or Asia. And I think that in some ways, that's where they got to get to at a certain point. Like Kobe Simmons, you got to play a bunch of NBA games just recently. You've been in the G League for 6 years. At what point do you decide, I don't want to take a G League salary and try and get my dream? I want to cash out. I want to go to Turkey. I want to get big time, and I want to get the glory and go for championships and be a top level player on my team. Because that's the choice that's in front of a lot of these G League guys that they have to think about. Is it my dream and not getting paid and just toiling away on a G League team and hoping that I get called up? Or is it I'm going to go to Lithuania and they're going to pay me $1 million and I'm going to start, and I'm going to play a meaningful basketball that way. I mean, that's something you got to really think about if you're in that cusp of making the NBA on the G League. You got to think about that every summer. You really do. Yeah, David's saying, well, Evelyn, I guess we won't take her out back to the barn just yet then. What? When do we do that? I don't know. I don't remember doing that. Blackhawk saying, give me two to three of those kids from UConn, and our bench will be fixed. Castle for Raptors. So Blackhawk likes the UConn team. I'm gonna go look at the stats and see who he's talking about. He's saying Castle, the guard, 34 minutes, 6 for 13, 15 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal. In some ways, I'm being a hater towards the Huskies this morning. I didn't watch the game, so I can't tell you. I didn't do a scout on him. You want me to do a scout on Castle? What's his first name? Maybe I'll go look at him right now. If you write in his first name at the end of the chat, I'll do a scout on him right now. I didn't watch the game, so I can't tell you what he's like and whether I'd want him on the Raptors. Castle for the Raptors. All right. I don't know his first name. David's saying, not a chance. The NBA is very difficult. There you go. There you go. Yeah, I'm not keen on Klingum. And if he's their best prospect on the Huskies, I don't know why I would like those other guys. Maybe they have better things to offer than the center. Blackhawks saying those kids shut down threes better than we do. Sheesh. That's a big reason why they beat the Purdue Boilermakers. They shut down their threes. Okay. I didn't watch the game. Once again, I'm just going by the stat sheet and what y'all are telling me. David's saying against slower, weaker, younger, less experienced, worse shooters and overall worse offense. That may be true. Welcome to the NBA. David's arguing, is that transferable? Let's see. Blackhawk saying the NBA is built on rookies. Huh? I mean, in some ways, Neil's right, but you still got to have some experience. Every player comes in as a rookie, so UConn kids are good enough for us. I don't know. I haven't watched them. I haven't scouted any of them. I can't sign off on any of them other than Klingum. I said I don't like him. I wouldn't draft him. He's too slow. He's not going to be as good as everybody thinks he is. Zach beat him last night. David's saying not every kid in college makes the NBA. I have no idea what you're getting at. Sorry for Caps, unintentional. He's not really yelling. I mean, that's true. Fiercely saying in Mark's acceptance speech, his ring was showcased, and I appreciate it because we know it was won with us. Others could have not acknowledged it. What's an important part of his career and his accolades? And Memphis, in some ways, like I said, they weren't hating that Marc Gasol got traded to us and won a ring with us. In fact, they were very proud and happy that happened for him because they really do love him a lot. And they're not that much of a hater. And in fact, it happened so quickly, it's not like they got upset about it. So they're like, oh my gosh, Marc is a champion. Yay. It's too bad it's on the Raptors, but hey, I'm glad he's just a champion. So I see that. Blackhawks saying if we keep our first round pick, then get Castle. That high up? I mean, where is he projected? This is the other thing. You pay too much on a guy who's not that high up on draft boards. I'm not about that. There will be at least 3 of these kids from UConn in the draft. Okay. I mean, that may be right. He may be predicting something good. Stargate saying that was a good Grizzly team. Zebo, Mark Conley, Rudy Gay. Yeah, the Grizzlies had a very good team for a while. They were a playoff team. They were one of the best defensive teams, and a lot of that had to do with Marc Gasol. A lot of it. David's saying our bench next year, assuming no drastic changes, is Abaji, Olenek, Dick, Wara. That's our top 9. Who on UConn this year is better than 3 of those players? I mean, we'll have to see how this all shakes out. I'm not going to say that Blackhawk's wrong. I'm not going to say that David's wrong. I don't know. I don't predict the future. I react to what happens when it happens. In some ways, I do predict the future, but on this stuff, I'm not educated enough to figure out the draft. I like your lineup, though. I think that the starters and then those guys as our team, David, that's a good team. Maybe Wara is optional. We'll have to see how it goes with Wara. Let's see. Carlos saying G League Ignite prospect Dink Pete declaring for draft 2. Imagine Dick and Dink together. Carlo. All right. We're bringing it down just a little immature here, but I don't mind. All right, we'll give you a dunk. You got a 20 now, my guy. 20 dunks for Carlo this year. That's funny. David's saying, can they swap jerseys if they're on the same team? Carlos saying no, but they will have to sit beside each other. Oh, so good. So good. All right. Let's see. Blackhawks saying UConn actually has their players memorizing plays like they're in the NBA. Other teams don't bother with a lot of plays because the enrollment turnover is very high. Yeah, that in some ways, what we were talking about with Kentucky earlier, UConn's the opposite. In some ways, they've ran their program for stability and continuity from year to year. They've had more people stay around and have build on top of it. That's the problem with the portal of Kentucky and Calipari. is these guys come in for 1 or 2 years. They can't build anything from year to year and get anywhere. UConn, in some ways, has been smart. They see the trends of what's happening across NCAA basketball and how people are kind of flying through programs 1 year and then the NBA. Well, they got guys that stuck around and kind of did stuff like that, so they could do this, Blackhawk. In some ways, maybe teams aren't together long enough to get to the point where they're memorizing stuff because they're so quickly through. Yeah, I think you're right on that. Let's see. It's not about who's better. It's about picking up players with potential. With 3 picks, you may hit on 1 or 2 of them at best. Yeah, I'm with them on this. That's sound logic right there. Chris is saying that, David, I like the team next year. We have to solve the backup point guard and grab a center. I believe the front office will come through for us. Trusting in Masai. Yep, I like everything there too. David's saying, isn't Flynn a free agent next year? I spent so long wishing him off our team, and it finally happened. You saw how joyful I was, David. Come on now. Why are you trying to ruin my dreams of Flynn not being on the Raptors? Blackhawk saying, we ain't bringing back Flynn. We wish him luck elsewhere. Thank you, Blackhawk. And you're getting a dunk for that. Yeah, that's exactly right. 31, Sean Marion, 31 for you. Yeah, he's just joking. David's been doing a lot of trolling. Him and Chris are kind of like that, not totally serious all the time, guys. I've realized this at this point. Chris is saying Sherman Hamilton is a very good media personality. I'm sure her. Oh, no. See, that's why you can't do this. Sherman Hamilton is a very good media personality. I'm sure her role will grow. Yeah. I said Sherman. I did not. Yeah, Savannah's fine. She's going to do great. She's going to do great. And Good Times was a great show, but apparently Amos came to hate Jimmy. Well, the problem was that on that show, John Amos was hired to be the star of that show. He was the most accomplished actor. He had done so many things. He was on Roots, and he was on all kinds of different stuff. He was known, not just for McDowell's on Coming to America. He was already known very much by the time he got that gig. He was the highest paid person on the show. Well, Jimmy Walker came in, and he was just dynamite, and he absolutely charmed everybody and became the favorite. This is a classic thing in sitcoms. They set up the show with the person that's supposed to be the star, but somebody outshines them and kind of comes in the picture and kind of becomes the star of the show. Well, that's what it was right there. John Amos was supposed to be the star of the show, but Jimmy Walker became the star of the show very quickly, and he resented him for that. In some ways, he wanted them to change the scripts, but they wanted to make the show successful, so they leaned into Jimmy Walker. And at some point, John Amos left the show because of this issue. So that's really what it is right there. Right there, Chris. That is right. He did come to hate Jimmy, and it was really because he was upstaging him. Yeah, 10:33. I got 14 minutes till 12, so I got to finish up. Blackhawks saying 37 points is no joke, too. Too bad Edie's team couldn't help him out. Yeah, that's what I can see from the box score autopsy. That I look at and see the Purdue Boilermakers. I see 37 for Zach, which is over half their points because they only got 60. And then one other guy in double digits, and he only got 12. And then I see a guy who got 4, a guy who got 5, and a guy who got 2. 11 more points on top of that. So 3 more guys were the third leading scorer. And then goose eggs all around. And that is exactly it. Zach Edey was the best player in this tournament, but UConn was the best team. And that's just how it worked out right there. Infamous is saying, I'm glad you watched What's Happening. One of my favorite sitcoms, D was the star of the show. Martin Lawrence was a regular on the final season. I don't even remember that. Maybe I'm going to see some episodes. You know, they made a spinoff later called What's Happening Now. Was he on What's Happening Now, or was he on the original What's Happening? I'm also watching like old Different Strokes episodes sometime too. Like I watched an episode where Janet Jackson showed up for the first time as the girlfriend of Todd Bridges, Willis Drummond. Yeah, that show's so awesome. I even watched the episode recently where Mr. T was on it, and Arnold puts on the Mr. T mohawk and acts like he's Lil T. Man, that was one of my favorite shows. That one. Different Strokes was the bomb to me. Oh my gosh, I loved Gary Coleman, and that show was so good. And he was so talented and such a star. Oh my gosh, what a bona fide child star. Gary Coleman, I know he's a little older than he looked, but man, what an intelligent performer and how he did things on that show. Yeah, I'm going to have to look out for Martin Lawrence on What's Happening. And when I get to What's Happening Now, because there are some What's Happening Now episodes too. I follow this channel called Classic TV on YouTube, and they post like old TV shows every once in a while. And I'll put one on just every once in a while for fun. on Thursdays. And sometimes I'll watch Fantasy Island or Charlie's Angels. It's all just old stuff on that channel. Highly recommend it. Classic TV Rewind or something on YouTube. It's a channel. And check it out. And that's where I'm watching old What's Happening. They even have that old show, That's My Mama. I don't know if y'all have ever seen that. Another show that's on there that I've been watching recently that's very interesting is Palmerston, USA. It's a show written by Alex Haley, who wrote Roots, in conjunction with Norman Lear. That's very much forgotten. It's a show that's set in the Great Depression, and it's supposed to be about Alex Haley's life when he was younger, and how when he was young, he had a very good close friend that was white. And this is before the Civil Rights Movement. And it's a very, very good show. In fact, Michael J. Fox is on this show. This is the first show he ever did in the 70s as a kid. He's the older brother, the white kid that's best friends with Booker T, the kid in the black family. And the father in the black family is Bill Duke from Predator, the movie Predator. That guy is such a good actor too. But that show's fantastic. Palmerston, USA. Creation by Alex Haley in conjunction with Norman Lear. So yeah, really, really interesting stuff. Check those shows out. That's a very interesting show too. Let's see, Black Hawk Radius Fire. Smooth saying, I'm watching Good Times Online. I love it. I love it. You know what? I'm going to go get that channel real quick and share it with you. And I know I'm going to get the Battlestar Galactica too, Smooth. It's just I'm really on an old time kick right now with some of the stuff I like to watch. Let me see. Where is the channel that I'm watching? Classic TV Rewind. Yeah, that's it right there. And I'll put a link in there, and you can see all the shows that are on there. They're all from the 70s, 80s. I've been watching Benson also. Benson's on there, and Soap, and Facts of Life, and Silver Spoons is even on there these days. Silver Spoons. So there's a lot of good old classic sitcoms on there talking about good times and what's happening, because Diedrich Taylor likes watching Good Times. So good. Sanford and Son. Yeah. I love Sanford and Son too. Black Hawk and Jefferson's. George Jefferson and Wheezy. And the maid. She was awesome. Oh my gosh. She was just like Dee. She always had those liners, and she put down George Jefferson so quick. Yeah. Walmart sells old shows dirt cheap sometimes, and I grab them up. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, you can watch them for free on YouTube at this point too. MSJ say, I always like the shows Newhart, Night Court, and 227. 227 with Jackie and the lady Marla Gibbs from Jefferson's also. She was on that show too. Yeah, Night Court's fantastic. They have a redo that has come out with the girl from Big Bang Theory. She's playing like Harry's daughter or something, and she's the judge now. And they got John Larroquette on it, so they still have some ties to the original Night Court, the new version of Night Court that's on now. Bob Newhart was a genius with his comedy, and he is still alive. It's amazing. Long live Bob Newhart. Amazing comedic genius with timing. Smooth saying, I watched with my mom. It takes her back into those days. Yeah, those episodes are awesome. But it's also fun to watch old reruns and stuff to understand where we've came from with societal values and morals and the way people, like, you can watch a show like that and you will see kind of how they institutionalize certain beliefs and coding things into episodes with the way things are talked about and stuff like that. There's been some very interesting episodes I watched recently. There was a Facts of Life episode that I watched recently where Mindy Cohen's character Natalie was dating a black guy in the episode, and Tootie was kind of in the middle of it, and she was kind of like, you shouldn't be dating him. And they were like, why shouldn't I be dating him? I like him. It's because, and they're like dancing around like interracial couples and dating each other. Some very heavy subjects on some of those old episodes, and very interesting to see how they deal with them. And also to think about how it shaped you as a young person when you watched them when we were younger. Over time, you can really understand how media can control the way people believe or think about things when you see the way these old shows were written. Seriously, that's an interesting thing to look at, an old sociological perspective in psychology also. Let's see. Black Hawk saying, I'm comedy and sci-fi. I got Airwolf, Battlestar Galactica old, and Reboot, and Stargate as well. There you go. Stargate. You're watching Stargate show, Stargate. I love it. You guys love the Battlestar Galactica, Lauren Green, the Edward James Olmos version. Yeah, I'm going to get around to that. I promise you, Smooth. I'll get around to that. It'll probably be around when things kind of settle down. You brought up the old Jan Michael Vincent, Ernest Borgnine show, Airwolf. Oh my gosh. That was like Knight Rider in the Sky. That was cool. Yeah, Battlestar Galactica, best ever in his opinion. Smooth Brown Man. A lot of people agree with you. I know there's a lot of people that are very, very keen on that particular edition of Battlestar Galactica with Edward James Olmos. Yeah. Blackhawk saying the true BSG is the best. They're talking about a second reboot right now. BSG, Battlestar Galactica. Yeah. The original, you like the original with Dirk Benedict? Yeah, Face Man and Lauren Green. That's not bad. Cool Cat saying, Lex, we don't blame the politicians. Voters elect who gets the job to shape the country. Ford is a representation of who voted. I'm going to disagree with you, Cool Cat. I'm going to blame the system. I'm going to blame the politicians. You can say it's the voters' fault, but listen, the system is set up for it to fail. In fact, the system is not fair anymore. That was rigged. That election that Doug Ford won is rigged because in some ways up here in Ontario, we have gerrymandering. I'm going to say that right now. The states have problems with gerrymandering and fixing elections. And well, Doug Ford's election was fixed. Cool Cat, I reject your statement. It's absolute bullshit. In some ways, we can't fight the power because we don't really actually have a real vote at this point. Every single person in downtown Toronto's vote doesn't matter jack shit in Ontario because we are lumped into certain ridings that have been consolidated. When Doug Ford came into term the first time, he did a whole bunch of things to make it so that he would keep power. And it's a weird, fucked up ways by taking seats away from downtown Toronto. Now we have less representation with more people in the GTA. And meanwhile, people that live in smaller little communities across Ontario have more representation and more votes. Well, when they vote, they win. And in some ways, that's the way he rigged it. That's the way he rigged it. So I disagree with you. You're going to blame the voters? Well, I am mad at some of the voters for being apathetic and not getting to the polls, but that's also by design. Often in late local elections in Toronto in the last couple of years, they changed the voting polling site every single time. I've had to go to 3 different places to go vote, and that is by design to discourage people from voting in the city. And that's just the damn truth. The system is set up to discourage people from voting. They tell people you don't even need to vote, and then they fucking rig it. So I'm going to say you're absolutely wrong. The system's messed up. I blame the politicians themselves because they rigged it for themselves. And there's all kinds of problems with true democracy in Ontario right now. In fact, Doug Ford is not running in the representation of the people. He's doing things for himself, his own pocketbook. And in some ways, that is so criminal and fucked up. He does not represent anybody in downtown when he is selling our public lands to foreign companies and foreign countries. That's a sellout. That is fucked up. And in some ways, we need that public land for people to go swim at, to go bird watching at, to go walk around in. And you gonna blame us? Nah. The system is fucked up. The politicians made it fucked up, and they continue to get the spoils and the good things from it. Until we upend the system and make it better, until we right the wrongs of representation, and there is fair vote, there's fair. Maybe we even do tiered voting where we have our first, second, and third choices. There's all kinds of ways we could do the system better that would represent the people better. Now, you gonna blame the voters for this? No, half the voters don't even know when to vote because nobody's telling them. And then the other ones, it's like, look, they have busy lives. They have been told that there's no reason to do it, just like Chris. So no, I blame the politicians who got in power, paid for the right people, made the laws, and they just continue to keep power. No, Doug Ford does not represent me. I did not vote for him. And honestly, I am so disgusted with how he is not listening to the will of the people of Ontario, and he does not represent us in his decisions. So, yeah, I'm sorry. No, he's not a representation of who voted. He's a representation of the small percentage of people that he overvalued their vote to get into office. If the bulk of the people in downtown Toronto had voted, he would not have won, is what I'm saying. And also, if our votes had not been watered down by just having MPs, you know, we have a section of a whole part of Toronto that has 1 million people that has the same political power as a small little borough out in northern Ontario that has 1,000 people. You tell me if it's Smooth Brown Man saying at Blackhawk, it was announced as a Peacock showrunner 6 years ago, but has stalled. You're talking about the next Battlestar Galactica reboot. Okay. David's saying, well, isn't that sad? Laugh out loud. I don't even know what he's talking about. Cool Cat saying the Pacers are 1.5 games ahead of the Sixers and the Heat for 6. Pacers are 1 game for 4th, 5th. The East is 3 and 8 is competitive. Yeah, it's actually from 2 to 8 because Milwaukee's involved in this too. Milwaukee has dipped enough with their losing streak recently that they're in trouble of losing their home court. They could actually fall all the way to 5th. statistically still by the end of the season. So they're all in play except for Boston and the people who are eliminated already. In some ways, even in the play-in, they could be fighting for a home court advantage in one playoff game, play-in game, but between like the Hawks and the Bulls and all those other teams down there. It's not clear who's going to be in the upper part of the play-in. We know that it's going to be the Hawks and the Bulls in the bottom, but they may be trying to get home court. And then, the Sixers and the Heat are trying to get out of that play-in and dump the Pacers into it. So everything is competitive. The Pacers have stuff to play for tonight. Let's just say that. Yeah, Smooth saying Blackhawk. It was. Oh wait, I already read that. Let's see. David saying he dated Ann Coulter. He can't be that smart. Laugh out loud. Dunk at Lex. Exactly. David, you want to give me a dunk? All right, I'll take a dunk for that. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean that's just true. In some ways, it's like, and he continued to date her. He dated her like he didn't just go on one date and say I can't date this woman. No, they dated for a while, and there's something weird about that. Let's just put it that way. Smooth saying Peacock. Oh wait, I already read that. Let's see. Peacock is the NBC streaming service that owns Battlestar Galactica. Okay. Carlos saying, anybody seen that Netflix 3-body problem? Been crazy into that lately, going into the books. I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't have Netflix. I appreciate you bringing it up, though. Blackhawk saying at Smooth Brown Man, BSG will be back because they want to reflect what is going on in the U.S. right now. Use it as a political story. I mean, sci-fi has always been used like this. Star Trek, Star Wars, both are very, very laden with political messages. And they very much are woke. Everybody gets upset about Star Trek. Why is Star Trek woke all the time? Motherfucker, did you not watch Star Trek and understand that it's been like this all along? I mean, seriously, you're obviously not a Trekkie if you don't get there's politics in it. That's a great idea to reboot the Battlestar Galactica to reflect the U.S.'s current situation. That's perfect. Monique saying, W stream, Lex, keep at it always. Good times approaching. Go Raptors for life, regardless of the situation. Raptor Freak Crew strong. Love you all. Have a great day. Thank you, Monique, for the cutoff. I appreciate you. Blackhawk saying, I haven't watched 3-Body Problem yet. I'm recovering from Halo. The video game where they had a show. Monique saying, top scoring cities by players' birthplace this season. She put them up for me. Los Angeles, number 1. Toronto, number 2. Atlanta, number 3. Seattle, number 4. Philadelphia, number 5. Chicago, number 6. Houston, number 7. Dallas, number 8. Portland, number 9. Milwaukee, number 10. And New York, number 11. Thank you, Monique, for getting the list so I could read it off. Fiercely saying Knicks was only 25K, but the Sixers was 100,000 due to reoccurring pattern. At this point, I believe they don't care and just absorb those fines on purpose, probably in their predicted expense for the year. I think this is a symptom of, I know that it happened before, not with Nick Nurse before, but they did this before with Joel. It's a symptom of Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid all of a sudden just decides he wants to play, but he does it too quickly, and he gets his team in trouble with fines. I think it's Embiid specifically that's the guy who's caused the problems for the Sixers with this, because it was Doc before when it happened and it's Nick now. So it's not necessarily the coach's behavior. It's Embiid himself all of a sudden maybe telling the team, he's like, I want to play tonight. I don't care. But we're going to get fined because it's too late. I don't care. I'm going to play tonight. I'll pay it myself. It's Embiid that's doing it. Yeah, and they have a history with it. That's why the fine was bigger for the Sixers and not the Knicks. Carlos saying, highly recommend 3-Body Problem is so good, and the book is apparently much better. All right. I'm not going to get Netflix for that. Trevor saying, face every problem with a smile and a positive attitude. It may not change your problem, but it can change the way you go through it today and tomorrow. Yeah, the only power we have is in perception. Sure, you can know something's fucked up, like what I described to Cool Cat about the voting situation in Ontario. But, in some ways, I can't let it just make me angry, bitter person all the time. I have to let it go. I got to put it on the shelf and understand what I can and cannot control. In some ways, I can have a positive attitude in that way, but I'm aware of the evil and the fucked upness of that, of what I just described about how the election system in Ontario is all destroyed and fucked up at this point. You don't get true representation when you, in any kind of way, even if you vote, because in some ways, like I said, our votes are watered down in the city. I'll move away from the city next month, and my vote instantly counts more just because I don't live downtown anymore. That's just the truth. It's messed up. Yeah. Blackhawk saying he's probably going to watch it this weekend, the 3-Body Part show or whatever. And Monique has got the Toronto ranking and the NBA scoring. Okay, that's kind of confusing, Monique. That's a lot of numbers. I don't know how to read that exactly. Carlos saying if Luke Cornett has a place in the first place Celtics, I'm sure Edey will find a way. That's a good point. If Luke Cornett has a place in the NBA, Zach Edey will have a spot in the NBA, just like Kelly Olynyk said in his interview yesterday. Kareem saying, I wish Team Canada played before the draft. Get a good gauge on what Edey can do. Either way, I want him as a backup center. Saves us a ton of money. Listen, if he falls somehow to like the first pick in the second round and we can get him that way, let's do it. I'm serious. I'm totally about that. Seriously. If we can do that, that would be awesome. So, all right, wait, I lost my place. I'm gonna come back up to it. Where is it? Holy crap. You guys really filled it up today. I want to make sure I get every comment. So yeah, definitely don't talk anymore. I was at Monique's cutoff the last time I saw something. Holy crap. Yeah, we're getting Team Canada. We saw Zach Edey play for Team Canada last summer. I saw enough of him in the times because he did get stints. There was a period of time when he played for Team Canada last summer where he didn't miss a shot for like 3 games straight. He was like 15 for 15. And there was even a 3 involved in that, just so y'all know. I think he made a 3 for Team Canada last summer, from what I remember. Kareem saying, oh, yes, is Banton going to get an invite for Canada? That's the thing. I don't know. That'll be something in the offseason. We'll look at how the invites for Team Canada tryout will go and who gets there. And we'll, of course, speculate and talk about who's there and how it all shakes out. But yeah, that's we're a little ahead for that. We'll get to that sometime in a couple months from now. Kareem saying at Moore, them stats are not Monique. Those stats are not accurate because it includes GTA. Yeah, I can't read those stats in the way that they were put in there. I appreciate Mo putting them in, but in some ways, I don't know how to read that in the way that it'll make sense right now. So, Fiercely saying any player getting the opportunity to train under Yak would be a privilege. He's extremely good and his fundamentals are solid. And he's from the school of Popovich. And he has training from Greg Popovich, Tim Duncan. Yeah, that's very valuable. This man has had Tim Duncan around him for 5 years. He's going to know some stuff because he had Tim Duncan mentoring him. Seriously, y'all. Kareem saying alley-oop to Fiercey for being on point. Yeah, we'll do that. Fiercey saw Sarah Jr. plays point, and so does Fiercey being on point. That's right. All right, 87 for Fiercey. I like that. 1987. She's going through all the good 80s years right now. Let's see. Cool Cat saying Zach Edey is the only reason why Purdue is successful this year. I think that's true. I think that's very, very true. Blackhawk saying I believe Zach took notes from Kelly. Zach shed Klingon to the in the paint in the way that Kelly does it to get around other bigs. Bring on Team Canada is a blessing. Yeah, I honestly I don't think that having Canadians on the Raptors is a bad thing, like a lot of people think it is. I think this is a very smart thing, honestly. Cool Cat saying forgot to mention that of course I will be at the beloved Groat game. Okay, good. So you are going to be down there. I know in some ways she'll be rooting against the Raptors, but it is what it is. Cool Cat loves Pascal. And of course, she wants to come and see Pascal as often as she can when he's going to come through and say hi when he's on the Pacers now. So, yeah, go down there and show support for our great Raptor of all time, Pascal Siakam, who I put honestly number 2 on the list at this point. I think that Siakam's the second greatest Raptor of all time, right behind Lowry, and DeRozan's third is kind of where I got them in order in my mind at this point. Lowry number 1 and Siakam number 2, DeRozan number 3, Fred number 4. That's kind of my order currently in my head as far as the growth. Chris is saying, I just want a decent backup center and point guard. Is that too much to ask? Maybe. And Matt Mozgov was traded to the Lakers for 2 first-rounders, and then he went bust. That's crazy. That is crazy. And we got Jakob for 1 first-rounder. Yeah, Masai's bad at his job. Come on now. G saying Sam Mitchell was talking about OKC getting Zach so Chet could guard the perimeter and they have shooters. Why is he giving them ideas? It's the same thing that Garrett said also. He said that he thinks OKC should try and get Zach too. Yeah, I'm not about that. I really am not. Blackhawk saying, no, it isn't too much, MSJ. No, it isn't. Fiercely saying at Kareem, Delano is too flashy and used to lack fundamentals. Haven't seen how he evolved since being with the Celtics or Blazers. But I don't see him as a fit on Team Canada. Sorry. I don't know. I'm not going to say no because in some ways this is a thing. It's very competitive. Everybody was there last summer has the edge. Everybody who was in training camp that was injured who did not come to World Cup has an edge. In some ways, if you were around the team last summer in any kind of way, you have an edge. Jamal Murray, O'Shea, Brissett, and Corey Joseph were the 3 guys who did not make the final cut because they were hurt. So if anything, if it's not the guys who played last summer, the guys that are next in line are Jamal Murray, O'Shea, Brissett, and Corey Joseph. So those guys are most likely to jump into spots over people like Delano Banton, Shaedon Sharpe, even Andrew Wiggins. just so you all know. It's kind of like we're going to reward the continuity of people that have shown attendance and coming in for Team Canada in the years past. Jamal Murray, O'Shea Brissett, Corey Joseph are the 3 guys who didn't play last summer that are on that short list. And everybody after that, well, it's even tougher to get on Team Canada because it's prestigious and everybody wants to get on there. If you didn't show the investment of time already spent with them, you're probably not getting in there. Now, in Banton's favor is that he has played for Team Canada in recent years. In fact, he played in the South America tournament a couple summers ago for Canada, and he was our best player in the underage group. And that could lead to him having a path being on Team Canada with the regular team because of his experience on the under team. So that's what I want to say about that right there. That right there. It could happen. Don't rule it out, Fiercey, but it's not likely considering there's other guys in priority that are above him on the list. Jamal Murray's going to be added. I'm going to tell you that right now. Jamal Murray, if he's healthy and he can play for Canada, he's coming to the Olympics with SGA and them. And I could honestly see Brissett added also just for size and veteranness also. So let's see. Here's he's got my 11 o'clock cutoff. I'm an hour after. Chris is saying at Blackhawk, I've been waiting a few years. Talk to you later, everyone. Have a great day. You too, Chris. Always best things for Chris. I'm going to give you a dunk just for being, positive. In some ways, I know him and we're not totally getting along. But in some ways, listen, Chris is coming with good, positive energy. He's being fun. And that's all I ask from him. You got the Patrick Patterson 54, my guy. 54. Pat. Yeah. Blackhawk saying Sam is showing a reason for Zach to be a first-round pick. If he used Raptors, then the Canadian excuse would be used instead of Zach's merits. Well, in some ways, what TV show was he on? Was he on TSN or was he on the U.S.? He's not going to promote anything for the Raptors while he's on the U.S. side. I don't know. They're not probably – most people are like, yeah, that's the ideal place they think he should fit. But honestly, I don't like that idea. And whatever. We'll see what happens. Maybe it's partly because OKC's got draft picks, as usual. Lots of draft picks. Good point. All right. Blackhawk saying, I want to see Temple back next season. I'm with you. Fiercely saying yes on Garrett Temple. And David saying the motherfucking Groat. David saying after Kyle, DeMar, Fred, Pascal, OG. OG's your 5th one? Not really mine. In some ways, then I have to start looking at Vince. Seriously. In some ways, now that he's going to go in the Hall of Fame, maybe Vince Carter's number 5 on the Groat list at this point. Seriously. A lot of people say he's number 1. In some ways, I begrudgingly give him certain things, but in some ways, it might have to be Vince after those 4 guys, as far as the greatest Raptor of all time. Some people will make arguments for Kawhi also. Blackhawk saying we have 15 roster spots. Spots 12 through 15 are geared to vets and projects that you have on your G League team. We should not be making noise when the end of the roster rarely gets to play. Exactly. There's a lot of wiggle room, and there is a place for old heads somewhere in that end of the bench. There just is. Fiercely saying, I would say Chris Boucher is now a vet, but he does not have the same voice and impact as Garrett. We see him at the end of the bench, not vocal at all. Garrett's personality is perfect for us. This is true. In some ways, Chris could be more of this veteran leader as time goes on. I alluded to him being our Udonis Haslem. In some ways, listen, Chris is culture. He talks a lot more than we think. In some ways, we thought, well, maybe Chris doesn't care because he sits at the bench. He kind of seems like the odd man out. No, this is not true. I've heard Chris in interviews, and I've seen how he carries himself. He's a company man. He's dedicated to the Raptors. He has not turned his back on us. In some ways, he understands his perspective is unique because he's the longest-standing Raptor at this point. So we'll have to see how Chris gets dealt with this summer. I could say it's 50-50. Chris could be going somewhere else this summer, or he could be back next year. In some ways, I like the culture of keeping Chris around still. But there's also a lot of evidence that shows that Chris Boucher is not the type of player that Darko values. So we'll have to see how that all works out with Boucher. Obviously, I want him to stick around. I really, really do. And he's definitely not the same kind of leader as Garrett, like Fiercey's saying. David's saying, hey, I was just talking shit. I'm on the Garrett train. Retract my strike. The strikes don't matter. In some ways, nobody struck out in here a long time. If somebody's going to strike out, it's usually somebody who's not been around very long. You guys that are established, you guys aren't going to get kicked out. Come on now. Blackhawks saying when Temple gets play, it's proof that we have too many injuries. That's true. I'd say that. David's saying we'd be doing just fine if everybody hustled as hard as Temple. No criticism here. I mean, a lot of the guys do hustle as hard as him because he sets a tone. That's what I'm saying. That's true too. David's saying man plays hard. That's all we can ask for. Yeah, he's a true professional. He's a great reference for the guys. Like if there's any questions about salary cap or player issues or a player like bargaining agreement with the players union, Garrett is a reference resource right there. It's like, well, I don't know that if that's true, how the pension works that way. Hey, Scotty wants to know if the pension works this way, Garrett. Is it? Yeah, this is how it works. They're on the jet flying to the next city. There's all kinds of intangible, awesome things about having Garrett on your team. Just trust me. And what I just said is like, he's like a logical Raptors fanatic for us on this channel. He can explain minutia about things about a collective bargaining agreement or salary cap and stuff like that. Well, Mike, I lean on him for that sometimes. Well, I'm sure players on the team and even coaches, they may not know as much as Garrett does about the legalities with the NBA and the rules. So that's an important thing. He's a lawyer. He has to know all the rules of the NBA, and he probably knows more about the NBA than anybody on the team, even Darko. Darko may know all about the coaching stuff, but Temple may know more about the legal stuff and the front office and the head office of the NBA stuff, is what I'm saying. Let's see. Blackhawk saying Will Lou had many gaffes during his interview with Gasol. He's lucky Gasol didn't cut the interview off. I know. If they were in the same room, would Gasol like backhand him? I mean, in some ways, he was very insulting towards Marc Gasol, a Hall of Famer, a great basketball legend in Spain and also in Canada and also in Memphis. So, yeah, what the hell, Will Lou? Have some more respect, guy. Let's see. Agreed with Blackhawk and Logical. Logical's respect, the real ones. Project Truth always. Blackhawk saying, if I am Darko next season, I would have Temple and Olynyk play with the bench. See, in some ways, the times when we have the bench out there and they're so young and they look so shitty, Garrett calms us down. I say this all the time. Like, it actually happened in the last game against Washington. The young guys came out and they shat the bed in the second quarter and they were horrible. Well, the adjustment was made. They had to call Garrett's number because professionalism wasn't to a high enough level. So Garrett got those minutes in the second half that Malik Williams and a couple other people would have gotten. And that's just how it goes right there. That's just how it goes right there. In some ways, it's a steady backup plan just in case. At least he's going to know veteran stuff and he's not going to make unnecessary turnovers from rookie mistakes. That's what y'all need to realize also. That sometimes having a veteran core, they're making way less dumb mistakes because they're not learning as much. That's the problem with youth versus old. Old has made those mistakes. They understand. They're savvy. And man, youth has to learn those mistakes on the hard way the first time. And that's the difference right there. That's the difference right there. Blackhawk saying Lindsey Dunn is great. She's on the uprise. Yeah. In some ways, I wonder about her career because I thought, all right, she's on CP24. She does a lot of sports on CP24. She has a great media spot. Why is she doing the sideline reporting for the 905 this year? In some ways, that's a step down. But no, she wanted to do it to diversify her resume. It's very smart. After the end of the season, Lindsey really enjoyed her experience with the 905 this season. She had a glowing post about it, saying that she learned a lot and she extremely enjoyed the job. So I expect her to be back next year doing that job also. Now, does this mean she will get elevated at some point and be a part of the Raptors broadcast? I don't know. Maybe she just likes doing it as a side gig along with her reporting on CP24 for Bell. So I don't know. Lindsey has been a star. And just like Savannah before her, yeah, there's a lot of promise there. But in some ways, Lindsey's older, and she's kind of been around media a long time, and her path isn't like Savannah's. In some ways, she's not a basketball player. In some ways, it's like Lindsey's moonlighting as the 905 sideline reporter. And I have no problem with that. She does a good job. She wants to broaden her horizons and her resume. Good stuff, Lindsey Dunn. You were awesome this year. Really, really good. Very, very conscious with her interviews. Very much respectful. Very much fun also. Let's see. Fiercely saying DMV area, another example. Delaware, Maryland, Virginia. Yeah, Washington, D.C. in some ways is like they're trying to move that team out of Washington, and they'll keep the same fans because it's the same greater city area of Washington, D.C. They kind of just want to escape, but they ixnayed it. They're not going to do it now. So the team will stay in D.C. They were trying to get him out of there. The ownership group blocked it, apparently. Tom Duke saying, hey, Mike, and Fiercely, of course, your comment was obviously removed ASAP. Wait, what happened? What comment? What are you talking about, Tom? Have a good one, everyone. Keep it real and stay safe and happy, Raptor Freak family. All right, Tommy, we love you, man. Let's see. I mean, I looked for Fiercely's comment on Will Lou's NBA show. Oh, her comment was removed as soon as possible. Oh, crap. That's crazy. Well, somebody else go write it. Seriously, a bunch of us read it on there. Will Lou probably has admin duties, and he's like, "What is this?" Well, maybe he's catching hell for it because people are calling it out. Well, they take one comment down. Let's go put some more up there. Each one of us, something like that. Yeah, Fiercely saying, Lex, last comment. Raptors French page on Instagram growing quickly, now at 13,000 followers, and their media asking interesting questions to engage. Also, nice historic clips. I like it and heavily participate. Well, being a francophone herself, she speaks French first. I'm sure that page is very nice. I like the graphic they did, the little Super Mario Brother video game looking graphic when they first started the page. Now that's great. More content like that. I'm sure it's way better than Raptors Brazil. That count is weird. Let's just put it that way. So yeah, and I'm wondering, why do we have this account all of a sudden? Is it because of Chris? Is it because of Pascal? Is it because of francophones on our team like RJ Barrett? I don't know. If there's a French contingency of Raptors fans, we love you. You guys are Raptor freaks too. And bonjour and comment tabatu. How are you? And what is your name? Tom's saying, okay, I will stay mad at Lou anyways. There you go. There you go. David's saying, oh, I get it now, Tom. Thanks. Yeah, in some ways, Tom filled it out because he realized that was going to be like confusing to me. And I appreciate your baby in me, Tom. I do. Blackhawk saying, I actually like Kobe Simmons. He could be a backup point guard. Me too. But what if I told you he's Jeff Doughton's age? Yeah. No, I think that actually, if we're going to pick somebody from the 905 to be our backup point guard with promise, Kobe Simmons, I would pick over JFL. Yeah. Yeah, I would. I'd pick him over JFL. I would. I don't know if I'd pick him over Ramsey, though. If we're really talking about guys we had on 10 days this season that I like for backup point guard next year, is Jahmi'us Ramsey. Yeah, that's the one. It's not JFL. It's not necessarily Kobe Simmons. It's Ramsey, because Ramsey's got those big shoulders like Abaji, and he's a very dogged defender. In fact, he was really on people. And, you know, the illusion's already been made, like that he is the guy that we're going to bring back, because Darko was asked this when Ramsey's 10-day contract ran out. They asked Darko straight up, did you guys like Ramsey? And he's like, oh, yeah, yeah. And then they asked him, do you think you guys would probably bring him back? And Darko was kind of like, yeah. So I think Ramsey's in our future, guys, even though we cut him after only one 10-day. We had 2 10 days, actually. But we saw enough. And in some ways, he's the one I think we're going to circle back and try and get on a contract this summer, is Jahmi'us. So I think he's the most likely out of those 10 days we've had in the last 2 months. Let's see. Carlos saying, Will Lou taking lots of L's this season, showing his true skin. You know, he's hit and miss. On some interviews, he's done fantastic. And I've really, really lauded him for some of the work he's done this year. But there's been a lot of really bad cringe stuff, too. Really, really bad cringe. The way they were disrespectful to Dennis was absolutely abhorrent to me. Really, really. I mean, get it. Everybody has a reputation in the league. Some people look at Dennis and think he's a joke, but he's not. He's not. He's a FIBA World Cup MVP. And y'all treated him like he was some jabroni, like clown in this league. Like so many idiots down the States look at him like that. Yeah, that's the problem, Will Lou and Blake Murphy. Y'all need to be coming to your interview subjects with the right and proper respect of who they are and their accomplishments. You guys ain't doing jack shit in your life compared to Marc Gasol or Dennis Schroeder. So, yeah, treat them with more respect is what I would say. Let's see. Blackhawks say Molly just wants to see the team put up a fight. Can't fault anyone for that. That's not the Molly I'm talking about. Now, like I said, I'm not saying Molly Weir. I know she's the most famous Molly on Twitter. There's another Molly account that I was actually referring to about that particular comment for sure. David, thank you for the super chat. $50. Holy cat crap, David. Thank you so much for your benefactor status on this channel. You're very, very kind. Very, very kind. Let's see. David saying, well, she should turn on the game. We've been fighting. Love this team. Yeah, I don't know if she's been watching or not. And it's not the same Molly I'm talking about. There's like a bunch of Mollys on there. And I don't think it's her that I saw that comment I was talking about. Blackhawks saying the blowout game showed we need more to lose with some respect. 40-point losses are embarrassing if you are too invested into the team. Listen, I know it's not easy, but in some ways it's y'all separating y'all's ego from the Raptors. That's the problem. If y'all are egoists and you're all wrapped up in your identity with whether the Raptors are going to win or lose, you're going to feel that more painfully. In some ways, I've learned to detach my ego from the Raptors over the years. That it's not good for you. It's not good for your health. In some ways, like I've said, it's like having a kid. In some ways, you got to let your kid live their life and make their own mistakes. And in some ways, you just wish the best for them. But you have to detach to a certain degree. And, you know, the Raptors losing this year, yeah, I don't like seeing it. but I was able to detach my ego and how I felt about it away in a healthy way so that I could deal with it in a better way. If other people are struggling with this, well, I would say get out of your ego and stop making it about yourself. Just let it be what it is and allow for it to go down how it's supposed to. In some ways, we're not so powerful that we can control these things. So why the hell you want to get all bent out of shape and all upset about it? If you have no control over it, you're at their mercy. So I would say this: watch as a spectator, watch as a fan, and be an unconditional supporter. But don't get all bent out of shape and upset and go into crazy dark places because it's something you can't control. Detach your ego from the Raptors, whether they win or lose. It's very important. It's a best coping strategy. And this year, some of the casuals that have not been around the team very long had to learn this experience, and they may not have been wise enough to understand the lesson that I just described. Yeah, I was very tied up in them winning or losing during the Bosch years. I would drink my face off every single time the Raptors lost around 2008, 2009. And well, my alcoholism flared up and I lost a marriage because of it. So yeah, I'm just saying it's not about you. It's about the team and separate yourself from it. I would say that to Molly. I'd say that to anybody who struggled with the losing this year as part of it. You can say it's embarrassing. Yeah, sure. Whatever. Who cares what those other people are going to think? They all hate us anyway. They're going to come down on us and make fun of us no matter what, whether we win or lose. So we just hold our heads up high and we just go as we go. And once again, the only thing that matters at this point with the Raptors is this: the future's so bright, Tim Buck 3, we got to wear shades. And that's the only thing that Raptor fans should be worried about. In some ways, the losses of this year are inconsequential in the whole grand scheme of things. That's what I'm saying right there. Fair point, David is saying to Blackhawk. Molly's words for the team is pride. If she wanted to see us show pride, win or lose, now that is difficult without RJ, IQ, and Scotty, but she believes we should have pride. I don't think that we've lacked pride. I think that she's off base on this. In some ways, she needs to come watch me every day. Seriously, I think I could help shape her a little bit better in a way that would help her deal with this better, like I just described. No, they had pride this whole time. It's just in some ways the talent just don't add up. It's not going to have good results. I don't want to have the worst loss in franchise history that we had last week. No, but in some ways that you have a certain talent level on the floor that you're susceptible to that kind of shit. And I wish people were educated enough to understand this instead of just thinking, oh, the Raptors don't have pride. They're not doing it. We're playing G League players in the end of our bench. Do you not understand this? Seriously. We can reason this out with reason. We don't have to get all in our feelings. I feel like that's half the problem with a lot of these people is they're all in their feelings and they blind logic and reasoning of looking at the situation clearly with their own eyes. You know, that's what I got to say right there. Let's see. He's saying also it's tough to hear Molly when we have to build the team up, but having high standards is not wrong. We just need time to get back to a place that is acceptable. I believe 2 more seasons and we're good. I think it's sooner than that. We're acceptable right now. Like, what the fuck does she think she is? That she's quality control or some shit? Nah, listen, you want to be like that, watch me and listen to my criticisms. But just having a whole bar and it's not realistic for the team that we have. It's a dumb action. In some ways, she's trying to have a quality standard. Whatever, get over yourself. It's not like you're the quality inspector for the team, Molly or whatever. Yeah, it's dumb. In some ways, look, I can pick apart little specific things about what players are doing and what we could do to add up to more winning. That's more helpful than just in general saying, oh, it's not up to the quality of what we should be. Listen, there were a lot of things that happened this year. And if you don't get it, you're just not educated on Raptor stuff. And that's the problem. In some ways, she's looking at it from a whole kind of weird perspective of quality control. That's stupid. I get it. We want to have a high standard, and we do. Trust me, we do. But it's not for her to set it. It's for Masai to set it. It's for Darko to set it. It's for Scotty to set it. And Molly, she's not setting the bar for anybody. Who cares a shit? She wants to hold a certain quality for them. Get over yourself. Seriously. This team had really bad personnel for a lot of these games recently, and the quality was just going to be bad no matter what. Come on, let's just be realistic. Let's use logic and not just blindly say this team needs to be high quality no matter what. I can't stand the 40-point losses. Well, we're going to get them because the team we have out there is going to get them. Seriously. Now, the team that we have now, they're not going to get them. If we have our more normal team healthy and we're seeing certain things, then we can look at the quality. But not during a 15-game losing streak where most of your starting lineup's out. It's just a ridiculous action. And in some ways, once again, I resent the fact that she's trying to be quality control for this team. What the fuck? Get over yourself. Seriously. Blackhawks saying actually UConn has high enrollment turnaround as well, but UConn is still insisting their players memorize the plays even though it is a new team. The players aren't complaining that it is too much. Okay, so they have turnover also, but it's just that their quality and standard that they hold. All right. Now, talking about that, that's a great example from the comment before. We have a quality and standard that we held through the whole losing that Molly's not aware of that's intact at this point. And that is something that's more important than her perceived quality that she wanted. The quality that the coaches kept as how they prepared the team and how they kept them up and how they acted was much more important, the consistency in that, than the consistency in winning. And that quality was a high standard and a high quality the whole entire time. And that's as evidence as being on the other side of all the badness recently and being in a better place right now and keeping things intact. That's what I'll say right there. Yeah, Blackhawk Center. Remember, that's my mama. The son went on to be the pastor in Amen with Sherman Hemsley. Yeah, that's right. That actor, I recognized him when I saw it. I was like, hey, I know him from something. That's right. He's the pastor on Amen with Sherman Hemsley. Yeah, that show was interesting. That's my mama. Yeah. Another thing that's very interesting, and this is a very good example of showing how media can shape perceptions. If you notice, all of those old sitcoms from back in the day, they had sets. Obviously, Sanford and Son was set in a junkyard. Their house looked like shit. Seriously, look at Lamont and Fred's house from that show. Well, look at the house on That's My Mama. Look at the house on Good Times. Look at the house on What's Happening. And then go look at what white sitcoms look like with their backgrounds. This was them unconsciously trying to show racial stratification with economics. That in some ways they thought in their heads, the TV writers and producers in the 70s, well, it's just not going to be realistic if a black family lives in a nice house. This is why Cosby Show was such an iconic, important show at the time, because they showed a black family in an affluent situation with a very nice house and very good jobs and all kinds of things. In some ways, the sitcoms will shape people's perceptions about things. And in some ways, the decorum, the sets of the old sitcoms tells you very much how they tried to shape things. That's an interesting thing to look at with open eyes and watching these kind of shows in the past at this point. Yeah. That's why Cosby Show was so important, because there weren't very many black families portrayed in an affluent situation until Heathcliff and Claire Huxtable. Yeah. All right, David. Thank you for being here, and thank you. I appreciate that. That's a very nice message. Isaac saying W for David Sabourin. I'm not going to give him a dunk or a 3-pointer or anything, because I'm not bought off to get this stuff. I just love David. He's one of my best friends on this channel, and I appreciate David a lot. I really do. Fiercely saying, hi, Tom. I just looked, and my comment is still there. I was afraid they deleted it. Okay, so she went and looked. Maybe they filtered it out so Tommy couldn't see it on the West Coast. Who knows? Very interesting. I'm glad it's still there, Fiercely. They do this. This is some phenomena on all the social media sites, whether it's YouTube or Twitter, especially. I'll comment on things and I'll put a really nice comment on something, but I don't get any views. In some ways, that's part of Elon gatekeeping whether people's voices are heard. You have to pay him to get the blue check. You have to pay him for exposure. Facebook's the same way at this point. The model that they're trying to make money off of is nobody's going to see your shit unless you pay us. And that may be part of it. It could be that YouTube has a masking thing. And if they don't like your comment, you can still see it, but nobody else will see it because it's not in the top comments or the comments that get filtered right. It's kind of where you say like top chat, live chat. Well, in some ways they can filter it out that way. And that may be why Tom's not seeing it on the West Coast and Fiercey still sees it. Because in some ways she can see it and she can think her comments there, but nobody's actually seeing it because the social media gatekeeps what is seen at this point, whether you pay to get it seen. So yeah, it's really weird. If you have a Twitter account, you have to be a blue check to get any kind of audience. Nobody's going to see your shit otherwise. That's just how it is. TikTok, similar thing. You got to pay to get seen. And it's just how it is. On Facebook, the same thing. They're always asking, you want to boost your post so that people will see it? Yeah, because nobody's going to see it otherwise, because they won't help you. The algorithm won't push anything you do. In some ways, I'm not paying YouTube to do stuff. They're not going to push my channel and put it in searches as much. So it's a weird way that these big companies are doing things with social media at this point. Just so you know, keep your eyes open and understand this. Yeah, Fiercely saying thanks for the link, Lex, and winning stream. Let's go tonight. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, there's the link for Classic TV Rewind. It's a fantastic channel. I really highly recommend it, guys. Let's see. All right, we're getting to the end here. Wayne saying wins till season end. Let's go Raptors. That may be too many. We got to watch Memphis. Just as long as we stay below Memphis, I don't even want to be tied with them. I don't want any ambiguity about a tiebreaker. We want to have exactly one less win than the Memphis Grizzlies by the end. Mugarbe is saying, hey, morning, Raptor Freaks. Lex, just so you know, I listen to almost every day, but I don't have nothing to say. Laugh out loud. Mugarbe, I love you, man. A great Canadian, a dream, success story, a man who came to this country and made life for himself in Canada, in the heartland. And Mugarbe, I'm so proud of you, man. You make me proud of my country, knowing that your story is out there, my guy. Seriously. So I'm going to give Mugarbe a 3-pointer for coming in and saying hi. You got the Isaiah Thomas 11 yourself now, guy. Good stuff. I love it. Fiercely's got the heart and the spice for Spicy P for tonight. Blackhawk saying, I would keep Ramsey as our third small forward and still keep Kobe Simmons as our backup point guard. You think that Ramsey's a small forward? I mean, if there's room for both these guys, I don't know. Some of this may be determined by the camp invites and the training camp roster. We may invite a bunch of these guys, and, well, they got to fight for the spot. So it could very well be around September, August, we're going to see these guys show up. They'll be at Rico runs, maybe. I don't know if we're going to do Rico runs. In some ways, this is a weird thing. We've kind of got all the guys who are Rico runs guys off our team at this point. And I don't know if the Raptors will be so prominent at Rico Hines runs this summer. In some ways, that was like Nick Nurse and Pascal and those connections. And at this point, our connections to Rico aren't very strong. So it could be that we're skipping Rico runs this summer for the Raptors. It may be Darko's decision. He may be like, yeah, we don't need to go there. We just stay with each other and do it ourselves. That could be how it goes. We'll have to see. But this training camp battle could be JFL, Kobe, and Jemias, and a couple of different people that we don't know about coming to training camp to fight for roster spots at that point. I could see that happening. Seriously. All right. We got to the end of the comments. I appreciate y'all. I'm at almost 1 o'clock. These have been a little bit longer, but we're near the end of the season, and these streams will be like this to a degree. All right. Let's see. The Raptors injuries are Emmanuel Quickley is getting a rest day. That really means that he's going to go ahead and play tomorrow against Brooklyn on the second night of the back-to-back. He's not going to play both. So that is exactly what it is. He's not hurt. It's a planned rest for him to be available against the Nets tomorrow. DJ Carton is out. Scotty Barnes is out. Jakob Pertl's out. And Chris Boucher and he who shall not be named, that is a gambler, is out also. Grady Dick is questionable today, and I am projecting that he will play today. That in some ways, him playing every single game going out of the season is important. And even if he only plays for like a couple minutes because he's not good enough, I think because he practiced yesterday with a sore groin, that he will play tonight. So I'm going to put my reputation a little bit on the line and say Grady Dick will play tonight, guys, just so you know. The only injury for the Pacers right now is Benedict Mathurin. He will not be playing tonight. But otherwise, every one of the other Pacers is here, and they will be playing tonight as far as things. The referees for tonight, Courtney Kirkland is the crew chief. He favors the Pacers. Dedrick Taylor is the second ref. He favors the Raptors. And Danica Mosier is the third ref. She favors the Pacers. So 2 of the refs favor the Pacers, and 1 ref favors us, the UPS driver, Dedrick Taylor, my favorite ref in the NBA. I don't know, Bill Kennedy, Dedrick Taylor, they're my 2 favorite refs in the whole entire NBA. I'm going to tell you that right now. All right, the Knicks got fined $25,000 for not reporting Mitchell Robinson before the Raptors game on March the 27th. And, hey, I'm all about that. That's nothing wrong with that. Zach Edey losing in the finals of the NCAA tournament to UConn Huskies, but he was the best player in that game for sure. Check your Yahoo fantasy teams. It's HC versus Peter Saborn in the finals starting tonight. And, of course, the bronze medal game matters too. David versus Jason Duke. So make sure you get your lineup set for tonight. There is action tonight. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching me today. I had a lot of fun doing the stream today. Always good debate, good topics, good talk, good all kinds of reaction to all kinds of things Raptors and Team Canada related. I appreciate you guys. Yeah, I appreciate you all a lot. Have a great day. Raptorize your day. Oh, and let's do this real quick.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Scotiabank Arena. Tonight's matchup against the Indiana Pacers and Toronto Raptors. In this corner for the Indiana Pacers from Cameroon, number 43, the great GOAT, Pascal Siakam. And in this corner for the Toronto Raptors from Mississauga, Mississauga's own RJ Barrett. And today we're going to be doing a soccer dribbling competition. We're going to have guys kick around the ball a little bit on the court. I don't know how good RJ is with this. We know Siakam's pretty good at this, but we'll see who can dribble a football the best between Siakam and Barrett. There's your main event marquee matchup for today. We'll have to see how it goes.
All right, y'all. Enjoy the game tonight. Cool Cat, have a good time in the game. Seeing Siakam, Mo, bring that good energy down there for us as usual. And I appreciate everybody watching me today. Thank you, David, once again. Very, very kind of you. Overly kind, honestly. And I'll see you guys tomorrow with the reaction to the game tonight and also the preview for Brooklyn. Yeah, double duty tomorrow. No rest for the wicked until after Sunday. That's what I'm saying right now. All right, y'all. Love y'all. Let's go, Raptors. Let's win for Darko, win for ourselves, win for Pride, win for Molly and her standard of excellence. Win for Molly. Let's do it for Molly, guys. Let's go, Molly. Yes, do it for Molly.